Hold on.
That topic was Quinn harasses one of our very few viewers.
One of our few viewers.
For my topic,
I literally
Also-
wrote down Quentin doxes commenter.
now,
Quentin here. I'm fine, babe.
This is Ethan. Nah, I'm gonna go. Don't worry, Devin's here. This is Ty. Let's rock and roll!
Well, come to the Power Up Brothers podcast, where we all sound the same and our points don't matter.
that was so energetic. You know what? Which one of us is on Valium? Right?
That was intentional. I thought that was a very good intro.
No, that was good.
Yeah,
We're not redoing it.
Okay, we're not redoing it.
You're doing it. It was a bit, and I think it landed perfectly. How are you guys?
Redo it and
Good.
include that
I'm
at the
doing-
end for
yeah.
a blooper.
Yeah.
That's at least good for a blooper.
Yeah.
Devin, how are you?
I'm doing great. I've had a great week. Me and Quentin both. Great week.
Such a good
We've been
week.
doing so well.
So good.
We're both on narcotics.
Perfect.
No, I'm not. I've been playing a lot of
When am I not?
Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Yeah.
So nothing has changed
10 out of 10.
for the last 3 weeks.
No controversy around the game. Everyone agrees.
Right.
Best Mario RPG ever made.
Wow.
Ollie Reynolds knows what he's talking about, and he's the only one.
Oh.
Cool.
Ethan, how are you?
I am doing really well. I am doing really, really well. I have been living it up big time. I have been getting into a lot of interesting hobbies and doing some things I've always wanted to do that I have never had an opportunity to do. So, like, I learned how to operate a coffee roasting machine, like a full, big, like, gigantic coffee roasting machine.
Mhm.
And got to do that a little bit, and it was extremely cool.
Wow.
Other than that, I have had like 3 really fun creative projects in the works,
Okay.
and I have just
Podcast
been
related.
mostly podcast related. Yeah, there's been 2. There's been one that isn't as much.
Well, that's really
but-
interesting that you got to operate a coffee machine. I got to be operated on by a surgeon and am now on heavy painkillers
Yeah.
and mood stabilizers. And they told me, you
The
know
mood
what?
stabilizer is not working.
You know what they told me? They say that surgeon, he grabbed me by my face, by my jowls, and he said,
Oh, thank God.
he said, "Don't do it. Don't go on that podcast. You're going to be in recovery and it will kill you."
I'm glad he's a fan.
And you know what?
Thanks for
I
not
said-
listening.
I said-
surgeon.
How'd you know I was on a podcast?
Yeah.
You know, and he said that he'd seen our wanted posters.
Oh.
And that's how he'd heard about it. So
Makes a lot of
that's
sense.
where I'm at right
Cool.
now. And also, my name is Quentin. And
Yeah.
I'm the one that's on narcotics every episode, and I have been for the last 4 episodes.
That's why he needed surgery.
And so there you go. Ty,
We've
how's
got
it-
Rachel back with us.
Oh, Rachel's back with us.
Yes.
You're beautiful, and we all love you.
Rachel
Yes.
is beautiful, and we all
Absolutely.
love her.
Someone should love me.
And now she has the technical equipment
I know.
to be
You
a
can't see
producer.
I can fact check these bros.
Yeah.
She could always
Yeah.
fact check Devin, but now she can fact check us
Yeah,
all.
now you're all
I-
in the crosshairs.
I postulate that she was actually vibe checking him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was
that's
vi-
fine.
yeah,
I like
that's
that,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
That was the old vibe
For
check.
sure.
Yeah.
Ty, what's happening with you?
Yeah.
Nothing. Same as always.
For you, man.
Same as always.
Never change.
Absolutely nothing.
I wish I
Got
could
here
say the
dodging
Uh,
responsibility like a bandit.
Yeah, absolutely. My only thing I did today was talk to my insurance agent.
same. Wow. We
Riveting.
It's the most
Riveting.
30-year-old
And
statement.
It is the
Yeah.
most midlife crisis statement. I was like, no, thank you. I can't afford life insurance.
Okay. Well, I'm glad
the
here
state of the world as it is.
I'm glad here we're
summed
all-
up in a sentence.
If I kick it, you guys you're footing the bill.
You know, I'd like to say that we're all doing
Bill.
Just as well as
ditches
the
around
other.
just
here.
as well
I'm
as
fine
each
with
other.
that.
We're all
You know?
doing fantastic.
The only thing Devin's done that's productive is nothing, and he's played Mario.
Yeah.
And Ethan's,
I mean, okay, I worked
Ethan's-
40 hours.
Hold on,
at
give him
my
a break.
job.
Give Devin a break. He's on narcotics.
Yeah,
That's a good
come on.
point.
Come on, he just had surgery.
I just had
Just had surgery.
surgery.
He's had surgery.
On my
Yeah,
brain.
okay, yeah. And so Ethan's roasting beans.
Yeah.
Ty's got to deal with the insurance because he
I've
doesn't
got
want
to deal with the idea of death.
He's got to deal with the idea of death.
Easy. Did that when I was
played,
6.
I
And,
played Mario while I was in surgery.
Oh
And
my God.
I think my
And,
surgeon
yeah.
was playing Mario while I was in surgery.
Stomp the Goomba.
He stomped my proverbial Goomba,
Oh my God.
and it didn't go
Oh,
well.
brother.
But you know,
Terrifying.
But,
Terrifying. I have been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I fired it back up
Nice.
because I just played the remake and
of
the-
Red Dead 1.
Yeah, of Red Dead 1.
Mhm.
And it's good. Red Dead 1 is a good game, but the entire time you're playing it, you're going, man, I miss Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
difficult to go back. Difficult to go back.
Yeah.
I will say I have been playing a little bit of
Okay.
video game.
Awesome.
Old game?
Old game.
Oh.
This one is old
Good
game,
game.
and good game. I did finish all of the endings for Star Fox Command, and I
Oh.
started playing, thanks to Ty for finding it for me, I started playing the ROM-hacked version of Spirit Tracks, The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks,
Cool.
so that I can play it better than Nintendo made it, which is the rule
Where
all
you can
the
just
time.
move around.
Yeah, yeah,
with
where you
the-
can just
yeah,
move.
yeah.
There's no reason for that game to have the controls that
It
it
works
does.
perfectly fine.
But Spirit Tracks is in terms of concept and execution and story really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's only drawn down by its controls, so it's really nice. The ROM hack. It's not
That's
perfect, but I have been playing that
Yeah.
this week.
No, in all seriousness, though, I've been playing a lot of Brothership, and it's very bizarre that it's even remotely controversial. Here's what I'll say, is that I think it's controversial. I don't even know if it's controversial. I think just IGN gave it a bad review.
I think that's literally it.
that-
Everyone else
wait.
I've talked to who played it loved it.
Isn't that a
IGN
mark of quality?
It is, yeah, usually.
Yeah, IGN is the they gave Party Babies a better score than a Mario game.
It's true, actually. Famously,
Why
they
you
gave
just-
Party Babies.
Yeah, if
a
you
pretty
look down
good-
right now in the short this is in, you can see the Party Babies.
Yeah, it's
review.
right here.
No,
It's
right
Party
below.
no,
Babies.
yeah,
there.
yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah, but it's been great.
I'm
I
glad
think
you enjoyed
the clarification I'll put is that if you've been playing the whole series, it's a great addition to the series.
Yeah.
If it's your first one, maybe you were expecting like a more traditional RPG, and you're
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, this is really fast paced and action packed, and it's like, is Mario?
yeah.
Like that is kind of like, honestly, the weakest Mario and Luigi games are the ones that are a little slower and like take, because like, how much depth do I really need? Do I need Mario to like wonder about the existence of Peach?
yeah,
It's called Super Paper Mario, and yes, you
Isn't
do.
there literally
Actually,
a game
yeah.
called Mario Wonder?
Oh my gosh.
God, is that what that title
You blew my
refers to?
mind.
What if Mario Wonder was him sitting on a bench thinking about stuff?
Oh, you know what?
That's
Mario
just the ending of Mario 2.
in
Yeah,
Germany,
he's dreaming, yeah.
Mario Wonder is called Mario Agnosticism.
Oh, that wow.
The news. Guys, if you like this content, you should probably seek medical help. But
Yeah.
you should also subscribe because we're
It's
tiny.
the only treatment.
It's the only treatment. If you subscribe, you'll feel just a little bit better. And we'll feel better because we're this big and someone noticed us. So go subscribe. Leave
Also,
a
when the
like.
doctors see that you've subscribed, they'll know exactly how to fix you.
Yeah, they'll know
what
something's
to
really
prescribe.
wrong. We're trying
Yeah.
to help you guys.
What you're
Um,
talking about?
I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
distance myself from
Despise.
Ethan's
It used to
comments,
be
and
the
I'm going to
Spike
say,
Video
Jeff
Game
Jeff
Awards.
Keeley, I love you. I love your work. Please be on the podcast.
You can have my seat.
You can have Ethan's seat.
Yeah,
We're kicking him out.
absolutely.
I thought you
in
meant
place
Quentin
of,
can have your
you know,
seat. You literally just
Uh,
swap.
I'll take
You can do that
Ethan's seat. Jeff, you take my seat. Give me Hideo Kojima's number. We need to talk.
That's the only reason he wants you.
That's
Jeff,
the
is
only
Kojima.
reason.
No, yeah. So by the time we'll just by the time you're watching this, the Game Awards is just in a few short weeks. You
Yeah.
can go vote on your nominees. We all love the Game Awards here.
Oh yeah,
We love the Game
It's
Awards.
great.
Cool.
I'll say it
It's
for-
rigged.
I'll speak for all of us when I say the Game Awards are our favorite Game Awards. Because how could we have any others since it's in the name?
I have a fun
Go
game
ahead.
around the game awards game.
You have a
right?
fun game
yeah, I have a
around
fun
Game
game
Awards.
award game.
Yeah.
It's an
Nice.
award game award. I play at the Game Awards.
Sounds like a fun
it's
game.
where right before they announce Game of the Year, I walk out of the room. And then over the next few days, I try to see how long it takes me before someone tells me what one game of the year.
He still doesn't know what won last year.
I have no idea.
I'm just
I
gonna
don't
say
remember
this.
what-
No, I do know what won last year, but it was a record holder for me.
Mhm.
It was 5 whole days before it popped up in my
Wow.
YouTube feed or before
Yeah.
anyone said it. There was just angry and happy videos of YouTubers pog
That's nice.
facing
Yeah,
at the camera
Yeah.
and woe jacking. And then someone came up and was like, "It's wild that Baldur's Gate won." I said, "No, it's not. It's completely predictable."
Yeah.
I also don't care and
perfect
didn't
sense.
know.
Yeah.
And that ends the streak.
I'm
5
gonna-
days.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I'm gonna be
I'm gonna beat
honest.
it this year.
I treat the Game Awards as you would expect, like a gay man watching the Super Bowl, because I just wait for the music.
It's about the ads.
the live musical performances come on, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Wonderful.
I
Luke got-
literally-
Those
I-
are great.
When
Those are great.
churches played the Death Stranding song, I was
Mhm.
literally like, this is so wonderful. And then something else happened. I don't remember anything else from that year.
Yeah.
I literally was just like,
I remember
Yeah.
the Bill Clinton kid.
I walked out and
Yep, everyone
it.
remembers the
Yeah.
Bill Clinton kid.
that was
I never.
years ago.
That was years ago, but I don't
years ago.
remember
But
any
the
other
point, but the
awards.
point is that they always have these great musical performances. You remember?
Yeah.
You remember last year when Bear McCreary came out on
I did,
stage
yeah,
and he
that
was
was
playing
great.
the hurdy-gurdy, and I was just
Yeah.
like,
That's pretty
oh,
great.
this is.
I
was like, this
thing
is
I
absolutely
actually
wonderful.
Do remember from the Game Awards
remember who
is
won it.
always the actors when they
Mhm.
when they give it to like a performance.
I
'Cause,
don't
like
know.
Christopher Judge gets up there
Who?
and they like played him off.
They didn't.
Uh,
That's
Honey-
the problem.
Oh,
is
no,
that
they
his
didn't play
speech
him
was
off.
like
That was
23
right.
minutes
Yeah.
long.
Let me just tell you something,
Yeah.
honey. All I remember is that Prince played the Super Bowl and it was raining. All right.
You're
Quinn,
right.
I don't know anything about-
but you do.
I don't know who
you
won
do
that
remember
year.
when Kojima walked out on stage at the Game Awards
I
and
do.
said, "The video game I'm making is in
Is it-
fact a video
is
game."
a video.
I
Yeah.
do have a sense
He
of.
confirmed like this is
When-
a video game. Goodbye.
We usually have like group watches for the Game Awards. You know, like a little party
We might
situation.
do one here on the.
And I'm
YouTube
usually
channel.
like doing
Maybe.
something else. I'm sitting by the fire in my my
playing
bathrobe.
Monster Hunter.
Knitting.
And no, that's the fire of that's a campfire. No, I'm
Oh,
sitting by
sorry.
I'm sitting by the fireplace and I'm knitting, and then I hear Hideo Kojima, and it's like a like I've just discovered there's a leopard in the tree above me, right? And I'm a primitive man, and I'm like, there he is. What is he gonna do?
Right.
Am I about to get ipter-dupted?
Yeah, always.
And I
when he
was
shows
because
up.
do you remember he walked out of a door?
A door
and
that
he
wasn't
walks
there
out-
before.
He walked out of a door and he casually, awkwardly walked out and was like, "I am Hideo Kojima, and what I will do to you will frighten you." And then the door opened again, and it looked exactly like the silhouette of Kanye West. And I'm just gonna say right now,
We all
I-
were wondering if it was
I
going to be Kanye.
nearly vomited in fear.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima, he was right. I was so scared.
Right.
And then it was Jordan Peele,
Yep.
who is a filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know.
Still unclear why he was there,
I guess
what
he's-
they were
I guess
working
he's-
on together. They're
he's-
working on something together.
They're working on Overdose, right? Aren't they working on that together?
That's what it seemed like, but then at
Is
the
that-
same time,
that
there's
a video
another
game?
project.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
Hideo Kojima's
They're,
got.
they're
Hideo
working
Kojima,
on overdosing together.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
be.
Hideo
I'm also working
Kojima.
on
No,
that as
the
a
thing
separate
I'll say
project.
about the Game Awards is that I have to give Jeff credit in the sense that
You don't.
he worked on the Video
Love you,
Game
Jeff.
Awards back on
Spike TV.
Spike TV,
Yeah.
and it was terrible. David Spade
David Spade.
hosted one year, and it was all just about girls in bikinis and
Mhm.
how nerds are fat and stupid, and like
Yeah.
played to every single
Insulting
every
all the people
stereotype.
watching.
Yeah, literally
Right.
the
A
fans
man
were
after my
insulted
heart.
constantly. He was always a celebrity.
Yeah.
Spike did whatever they could to just attract people to it.
Now they don't even invite fat nerds anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Look at the
once-
esports celebrity section. I can
Yeah,
tell you
they
that you
do.
are wrong,
No,
They hide
okay.
in
the-
furry costumes.
honey. That is
but when
it's
Jeff
fun to
got
see.
creative control over it, he took out all the stereotypes of nerds and
Yeah.
made it just like more like an award
a
show.
serious award show.
But sometimes he has the Muppets on there. I do like that.
Yeah, he has
Oh,
the
yeah.
Muppets on
Muppets,
there.
yeah.
The
And
Muppets are always
occasionally-
good.
Yeah,
Always good.
occasionally
Always good.
he'll throw it like to like Matthew McConaughey comes out just to
I
talk
hate
about
that.
a game.
I remember.
Now
that.
he is in the
I re-
game.
No, I remember. I
He
remember.
wasn't in the trailer.
Let me tell you something. I
No,
remember.
he was the announcer in the trailer.
Was he?
I
Yeah.
remember
I
Al
don't remember.
Pacino came on to the stage,
Oh,
and
so cringy
I
and
literally
weird.
was like, couldn't bother me, and I just kept on my knitting. I was like,
Working on that pearl stitch.
I'm working
Yeah.
on a scarf, you know.
Yeah.
So with the
I
credit
do
given
wanna
to him, I will
right.
say that that I'm not a huge fan of anything that is just sort of an effort to move the games industry towards being more like Hollywood, which is ultimately
Sure.
what an award show is. We can acknowledge the highlighted art of the year, like, hey, let's look back at the year, do like a year recap, and like give allocades to something without doing like an award show where you have nominees and then a winner.
Yeah.
That's like, this art wins over all the other art.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood introduced that idea, but
Well,
it doesn't have to be
But I
the
mean,
way everything
I don't
is.
understand why they have a game awards when they stopped making video games years ago.
No, bro.
All right.
I do want to say one thing
Okay.
that's really important to me about this subject. Just keep in mind as all these like award shows and stuff come around that your opinions aren't invalidated because they aren't the majority, and your opinions aren't invalidated because like the companies that run this and Jeff Keighley decided that they're not the game of the year.
And I'm going to tack onto that. Your opinions are not invalidated by virtue of these, like popularity contests.
Mm-mm.
Your opinions were invalid from the start, and I honestly, I don't want to hear them.
I knew it was
They were
coming.
I don't want to hear what your favorite
I knew it
game
was
was.
coming.
I don't want to hear what you're playing. I don't want you to try to convince me that games are still being made. You shouldn't even try.
We're not gonna
So
try.
basically, the long and short of it
No,
is what
thank
you're
you.
saying is that your opinions aren't invalidated by the game awards, is what I'm saying, and you're saying your opinions have been invalidated by me.
by me right
Yeah.
now.
Some
By
more
you,
cheery
Quentin.
news. We got 2 anniversaries here.
Wow.
Either last week or the week before, I don't remember, but within this month, the month of November 2024,
Mhm.
we are in the 20th anniversary of our dear Nintendo DS.
That's a 3DS.
We're all ancient.
That's
That's the only
crazy
one I
to
have
think
anymore.
about.
I'm very
Isn't that
sorry.
a new 3DS?
It's a DS. I did the best I could.
And what game is it?
It has 2 screens and
You
some
sh-
buttons.
Why
right?
didn't
That's
you
enough.
just mention? I could have just brought a DS.
I should have told you.
I
yeah.
got one.
I don't know why.
Can we get to the point here?
I'll
give it
It's
to you.
20.
You
yeah.
clearly
This
need it for your
is
collection.
the 32nd anniversary of Devin not communicating with us.
Correct.
I believe.
No, that's
Of
that
poor
anniversary. How old are
communication.
you? That's your anniversary.
That's
Yeah.
way more.
yeah.
No, so 20 years ago,
20.
and then
We had our
also
DS, yeah.
in November,
Sold.
30 years ago, was Donkey Kong Country.
Oh my god.
Way back November of 1994.
Wow.
You were a twinkle in our parents' eye.
Son, I was
That's
a teardrop about to fall, if anything.
4 years later.
4 years later. What game is in that new 3DS that is a prop for the original DS's release?
I don't know. Probably Mario Kart.
Time
7?
for somebody to find out. We're gonna play what cartridge is that?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
I'll put it
honest.
up here. This is what was in it.
Because I'm gonna be honest. When I saw that there was a new 3DS up there, I went,
You're really just harping on the new 3DS. I literally just read that it was the DS's 20th. Okay, I was
Right,
mainly going to
right.
talk about Donkey Kong. Is that what you want me to say?
"Yeah, thank
You
you."
want me to say it in front of
I want you
everybody?
to say that you didn't plan this out very well.
No, he
you
didn't
didn't
think of
communicate with
This is a
anybody.
do you think the DS was the beginning of Nintendo not making their consoles out of Nintendium?
No,
Yes.
'cause
No, yes.
they were pretty tough.
I was
the
gonna say,
DS's were.
No, you
Is it
misunderstand.
the
sir.
light then that was the first non-Nintendium?
there-
Because my light exploded.
No, I was about to say 2 points. One, DS's broke all the time. The clamshell was, especially on early releases, the clamshell, the
Maybe.
Nintendo
But
DS.
the Wii was still kind of indestructible.
But this is the other point.
Yeah.
Nintendium it goes further than this. This is about the longevity of a console as far as how you can keep this alive.
Yeah.
And the unusual form factor of the DS makes it so much harder to keep alive. I've talked about that before.
Mhm.
A Game Boy game, a Super Nintendo game, an N64
They
game,
still work
a
to this day.
GameCube game. It is so easy. Put them on anything. There's no design issues at all. Let me tell you something. If they tried to port 1-2 Switch to the PlayStation, it would be what we consider a physical impossibility. Okay? And that's the same for the DS. How exactly
Yeah.
how are you supposed to port any touchscreen dependent game?
I don't
on
know that
anything?
has to do with its Nintendium though. It just has to do with like
It's
the,
not built to last.
the design.
It's tangentially related in that like the esoteric nature of the build does make it more breakable.
I
Like
guess
the
so.
fact that it has to have
Well,
a
and the-
touch
Do you
screen.
people
Some
not have
Wii games.
phones?
Yeah.
Quentin does.
Well,
He
honey,
plays-
I've been
He
playing.
just bought a
I've been
controller,
playing
yeah,
DS games for the
emulated.
last week on my phone. And this was a problem because playing them on my Steam Deck, or
The vertical orientation you can't really
the vertical
change it,
orientation you can't really get,
Yeah.
and touchscreens are a nightmare. Like even switching, and then you're holding a big Steam Deck, and you're like, is really difficult.
I will say I don't like the idea of what I love about the DS, and the reason that it's kind of crazy that it was 20 years ago. It doesn't feel like
That
it
is
was,
insane.
yeah, it doesn't feel like it was 20 years ago. But that's how. Yeah, you remember Mom got our silver one from Sam's Club.
Mhm.
It was the first time we were with Mom when she bought us a video game console. That was weird. That I remember being with her. And Mom walked over and she was like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna get it." And we were all just like,
I mean, you.
I was about to say you.
That's your
you
experience.
do
I
understand.
was there for the Super Nintendo.
That's what I was about to say.
At Toys R Us.
old and I've been around
I'm an
so
elderly
long.
man. But yes,
That was the first time that
big
the
silver
important child was with her.
Right.
That the main character of the podcast was there.
Mr. Communication.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, so I want to backtrack.
You
So
really
you
can't.
were there with your mom when she got the SNES at Toys R Us?
Right.
Walk us through that. That sounds interesting.
That does sound
Oh my
interesting.
god, it's so long ago though. I had been exposed to video Super Nintendo. My uncle had one, and my cousin had a Sega Genesis, I think, and I wanted a video game console, and so I just she's like, all right, well you'll earn credits if you do your chores,
Big
and
boy
stuff.
points, right?
And so I had earned enough credits to get which I think she overcharged me massively.
Almost
by
certainly.
the way.
Definitely free labor. That's all
definitely.
children are good for.
And we got in a minivan and went, and I was just bouncing with excitement. And I think Ethan and Devin were both still quite young, so I'm thinking that you guys were.
I remember it,
You remember?
but you would
Yeah.
have been way too little to remember it.
Yeah, I think you stayed in the car with Dad,
You were like
maybe
10.
in
And-
a car seat.
And did you get?
His
Yeah.
car seat.
And-
His car
in my car
yeah.
seat at 10.
Absolutely.
And did you get?
Absolutely.
What you must have gotten games with it. Do you remember what games you got?
Yeah.
It came with Super Mario World.
It came with
It
Super
was the Super Mario World
right.
edition of it.
No, was it Super Mario World or All Stars?
Probably.
We got All Stars through the mail.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
there was
You're
this
right.
thing where
Okay.
Nintendo.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Nintendo
weird.
Power. Yeah, you could get All Stars through the mail, which is
So, but
when
you-
did we get? I'm going to segue it back into
The
related
DS.
to the news. No, not the DS. When did we get Donkey Kong Country, which just turned 30?
We got
Ooh,
Donkey Kong Country
that's tough.
3 was the first Donkey Kong Country
That
we
does
bought.
sound right,
I
yeah.
played the other two because somebody I knew had them. And
Wait. That can't be the first one. 3 came out in 1996.
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Yours-
we were really
There's
late
a
to that party.
Blockbuster nearby that
Yeah.
would rent it out to you.
Yeah,
And as you walked out, the neck-bearded sausage human sitting behind the counter would look at you and you go, "That's a really expensive cartridge. You better bring that back or I'm going to put a $50 fine on your account." And I would go, cool, I guess, man. And I'd
Yeah.
walk out. And Mom would be like, "No, it's an expensive one, so you got to make sure you bring that
yeah,
back."
a lot.
And I was like, "Can't we steal it? It would only be like a $15."
Let me
That's
tell
how
you
I got
something.
Mario
a
Kart
lot
64.
of a lot of
Yeah.
games that I remembered us having growing up, we did not own.
No.
We rented them. So the first
Yeah.
two Donkey
Yeah.
Kong Countries we
X3.
rented. Mega Man X3. I wish I'd stolen that one. That one was
When I
expensive.
first pulled the N64 out of the dust and rubble in 2009 and started collecting
the
game
horrible
consoles.
house fire.
Yeah. No. No, I was sure
family
there was a
reunion.
copy of the original Mario Party somewhere in our house, but it was because of what you guys are talking about. We
We
rented it. But
Blockbuster
we
is a
never
place
owned
that
it.
used to exist, and
Yeah.
you would go there and you would take games from them. It was
Block-
like a library, but
Picture
you
a
paid
brick
for
and
it.
mortar Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like Netflix, but brick and mortar. And instead
but-
of streaming things, you had to physically take them and put them into.
So, but with the
things.
DS, I think we all have very fond memories of our DS experience.
You and me especially, yeah.
Especially us, because
We were
that was
still young enough to have that
We were still young
sense
enough
of wonder.
to have
Yeah.
life in our eyes.
Ethan was getting close to the existential dread part of it.
he was way past.
I
it.
hit existential dread at 6. I loved the DS.
Oh, okay, great. great.
No,
you
but
remember the
we were-
screen? This is if you're out there right now, if you know, you're gonna know. And when
Do
I
you
say it, you're gonna know. Do you remember that the original DS's screen was kind of rough when you'd run the pin over it?
Yeah, it had like
Yeah.
a texture.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
pushing in a clicky button.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It was
I think those
nice.
were the cheap screen protectors I put on them.
It might have been.
No, because
But
I
I-
peeled the ones off on
Yeah.
mine. They were just.
But
Yeah,
I do remember
you-
there was a marked texture difference between the different versions
were.
of
There
the
were.
touchscreens.
Ethan
Yeah.
was the only one among us who insisted on not having a DS Lite. I had a DS Lite. Quentin
I
had a DS Lite. Ty, you got a black DS Lite, didn't you? But you got a blue original. DS.
Materialism is the rot of the soul. Yes.
It is,
Well,
however,
well,
I
what's
will
funny
say
is you bought it after the DS Lite, and Nintendo pulled a sneaky with the blue and the updated silver ones. They put in the light screens,
Yeah.
so you still had a DS Lite screen. You just didn't have that.
well,
sleek.
and also the
form
DSi did have exclusive content on it.
that was way later.
was
though.
later.
The
Yeah,
DSi.
the DS Lite was just.
Or
small.
sorry,
I
not
got
the-
an eye.
The
yeah.
DSi
Yeah.
had exclusive content on it, of course, but it did lack a Game Boy slot. Am I right about that?
I traded.
So
I traded my DS Lite in for the Eye, and
you could still play
now
Game Boy games.
you had to
using certain
download,
methods.
Yeah.
download play
Now
or through stealing. Which, you know.
now I kind of regret it. I like the Lite more than the Eye.
I like the light a lot. However, I will say again, the exclusive content on the DSi, I have lots of very fond memories of download play, games from the eShop and
Yeah,
things
that's
like
true.
that I
It did
absolutely
have some
loved.
good games.
But then at the same time, I was a Game Boy kid. I loved the Game Boy Advance because it came from the best generation of games. Don't at me. The Game Boy Advance is incredible. I mean, it just banger after banger. And the fact that it was like you could play those still on your DS
Yeah.
It's
or
pretty great.
DS Lite, and then you also had all the DS games, and the DS had this amazing library.
yeah.
Absolutely incredible. So when I got a DSi, I remember being like really bewildered, and I'm so happy with all the stuff it could do, and it was really fun, and I love the camera and all this stuff. And then I remember having a distinct moment
Mm-hmm.
where the realization that I could not play my Game Boy games on there.
Oh man, it's
And
heartbreaking.
it- I gotta be honest, even as a child, it made me have a moment of being like, these companies, they don't love me. These
Oh, my
companies,
friend.
they don't care about my feelings.
Right.
Little
They don't care.
That's what
14-year-old
radicalized Quentin.
It's what
Yeah.
radicalized
14-year-old
me.
Quentin sitting
it
there. and
wasn't
he goes,
Dinkum.
Old game,
wasn't
good
Dinkum.
game.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what
New
happened.
game bad, no
I
stop.
said-
That's
I
when
said-
he uttered the words.
I said old DS game, new DS, no stop.
Yep, that's when
Right?
it
That's
That's what he
happened.
said.
But
because of the DS.
in
remember.
retrospect, I will say, even though I was very hurt by that design decision,
Yeah.
the DSi was great. I honestly don't think
I
there
d-
is
I-
a
it was
single
cool.
version of the DS that is bad, except for the 2DS, which is a crazy
which is
idea.
a 3DS,
Mhm.
yeah.
But then the
Ultimately.
2DS XL, I'm okay with. The
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
that's got the clamshell again.
I will say that guy up there, the new Nintendo 3DS, is the best looking console.
That one's
The
gorgeous.
plates you
ever.
can slide in and off, and it
Yeah.
changes your background.
Yeah.
if I wouldn't risk messing up the whole set, I would
Yeah.
show it. Actually, here's a video of me showing it off. Ooh.
There you go.
Let's see
Ooh,
if Devin
editing.
remembers this.
Ooh.
Editing. Isn't that
He
amazing?
didn't remember. He
Some-
forgot.
If only someone could write that down. So they
Someone,
could do that.
if
It's
only
impossible.
they
It's
had.
completely
Yay, producer
impossible.
Rachel.
It's
So
all
it is
impossible. So,
gorgeous.
Last little bits
So-
of
Yeah.
Go
Any
ahead.
other news? I think
Last
I think
little
we had
bit
the same segue
of news. Gonna mention it real quick because I don't really care, but people will care. Sony. By the time you're watching this, Sony may have already
Sony.
done this.
Yeah.
They might be acquiring a big company called something. I don't know what it's
No
called.
one cares about that company.
No
It's
one
from-
cares
It's
or
from
knows.
They
Soft.
own
It's the
from
Soul
Soft.
Sports guys.
I was
It's
gonna
from
say,
Soft.
It's the
yeah.
parent
But
company.
here's the
of
part.
From
Here's the
Soft,
part
so
that affects
that's
me
important.
because FromSoft has never made a game.
That
Because
you
the
can
only
prove.
games that matter
Yeah.
are the ones I care about.
That's right.
I'm
They
pulling a
just make
Quentin.
DLCs.
And
I'm pulling a Quentin.
basically, what you're saying
No,
is
but the
yeah.
company that
Nominated for the
owns FromSoft also owns the company Acquire,
Uh-huh.
who made Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
They just made Mario and Luigi Brothership, and as I said, it's fantastic. And they might be going away. I don't think Sony's going to let Acquire make more
No,
Mario and
I
Luigi
don't
games.
think so.
No.
Probably
And
not.
that big stupid conglomerate owns Spike Chunsoft, which is a
What is
developer.
that? made that up?
They're like
Is
a
that a
really old
word?
developer.
That is a racist comment you just made. What did you just say?
You remember old Chunsoft games?
It doesn't sound
You
It
have
really
to.
doesn't. It sounds like you're messing up someone's name.
No,
No,
not,
no,
though.
it sounds
is
like
real.
you're
They
disrespect.
merged-
It sounds
It
like
does
you're
sound fake.
disrespecting
It
our
does sound
Korean
fake.
audience.
Look, here's a
is what it sounds like.
here's the logo for Spike
Oh,
Chunsoft,
Spike
so that the
Chunsoft.
video,
You
so that
can't
the
remember
viewers.
FromSoft's parent company that just get bought.
one of
but
these
this
one of these days, I'm gonna
Well,
have to
here's
company that
disavow
hasn't
this
existed for 40 years.
Here's why I remember Spike Chunsoft. They work on
Oh
Dragon
my
Quest
God,
all
yeah.
the time.
Can you say?
Yeah, I
Can
do.
you stop saying Spike Chunsoft? You understand?
Spike
Let me tell you
Chunsoft.
something.
Spike Chudsoft.
Let me just say something. You know,
You
my
messed it up.
my college application, I'm gonna apply, and then they're gonna see this podcast, and they're gonna say, "You got
No
some explaining to do.
thanks.
You got to
got some-
publicly,
hey.
you got to publicly disavow."
Only if you're going
brother
to
Devin.
college.
All the hate
I mean,
you
this is
know.
America. They're not going to.
No, but they
That's
work
true.
on
Might
Dragon
help.
Quest, so it might muddy the waters a little bit. I mean, Square's not going to let Dragon Quest go, but it might muddy the waters a little bit.
They're also not going to, however, like make it an exclusive. Square just said they're done with console exclusives, so it's unlikely if they do go
Yeah.
first party for Sony that they'll be working on the next Dragon
I-
Quest.
despise every decision Sony makes these days.
It's not.
They
good.
make such bad decisions about everything, and it's not just that they make bad decisions from just like making games or gameplay stand. It's that so many of their decisions are directly anti-consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
They make so
Microsoft
many-
makes fun of you for being anti-consumer, Phil
Mhm.
Spencer in an interview
Yeah.
recently
Oh,
talked
boy.
about how the PS5 Pro. He didn't come out and say this, but he basically just said it's exploitative. Like it just. He's like, there's no point in making $1,000 Xbox just to get money out of like 10 people. So like it was like a backhanded comment about making
Yeah.
powerful consoles.
Yeah.
The other thing that applies to our dear viewers who we love.
We have dear viewers.
I think I
have
said that
dear
earlier.
viewers?
Yeah. Oh, you
He
did
said
say
it
that
again.
last time. Big Black Friday sale across PlayStation and Nintendo. Nintendo is like there's like over 100 games that are on there.
Yeah.
I
That is
normally
huge.
save money on Black Friday
Yeah.
by going the extra mile and not having any money.
Yeah. Same.
Then I can't spend it.
I
And
usually
I
spend
save
money on Black Friday by stealing everything, like always.
I was about to say, I don't
No,
know.
big sales-
Sorry, the real news, guys. All video games are free now. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Buy your games on
Well,
Black
the reason
Friday.
that I bring it up is because Nintendo viewers will know this. Nintendo's actual games never go on sale.
Yeah, very
Like
rarely.
they have a policy to not punish early adopters. So
Right.
like ARMS is still $60.
Nintendo's the worst
Which is
company. You don't have to
insane.
tell me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which-
you don't have to tell me.
But the
They're
thing is that
worst.
like when Nintendo games launch, everybody like it's not the Ubisoft thing where
There's
no
no
one
point
buys
in waiting.
because there's no point in waiting. But they do these like random sales throughout the year. They usually do Black Friday, and right now you can get like Mario Wonder for like $43. So if you were sleeping on any Nintendo games,
Yeah.
go check it out. I'll leave a link
Yep.
to this
Yeah.
great website called I think it's called Deku Shopper.
Right.
Yeah, I use Duke Shop.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I'll leave a link. So they have a
Yeah.
great like comprehensive.
we
list,
can't
so.
leave it on YouTube, but I could give you a link.
We can
and you
leave it
could-
on YouTube. We can't leave
No,
it
no,
on your
no,
short.
no. You misunderstand. We could leave that on there.
Oh.
We couldn't leave the link I could give you, where you can play
Oh,
every
no.
Nintendo game for free.
This is edited out.
Find Quentin in a back alley somewhere.
I was gonna say.
He'll hand you a slip of paper with a
Very official.
with
URL.
URL scrabbled on it in crayon. If
With
you go
Quentin-
to that
with
URL,
Quentin,
you'll get a
let me
virus.
tell you
If
something.
Quinn gives you a link, it's either to a shady, illicit website to play video games for free, or it's Goatsy.
Yeah,
It's
or
one.
it's-
Yeah, that's
right.
right. You
It's his-
you
it's-
find
yeah,
me
it's
in a
his-
back alley
it's
with
his
a trench
fandom.
coat, and when I open it, it's literally just pieces of paper with URLs written on them. It's just QR codes on one side. I said, "Which one do you want, man?" You
All right,
know?
Rachel, tell us what the next segment is. Look right into the camera.
What is the next segment, Devin?
Oh my God,
It starts with a T.
you got this.
Topic of the week.
Yo!
Oh!
Shh. Quiet you.
God's sake.
Let me tell you something, gentlemen. Ubisoft.
No.
No, not again.
No, not Ubisoft.
Do you want me to go? You seem like you don't have anything.
You seem like you're fishing.
You
No.
seem like you're stalling.
No. I would never stall. I would never stall. Yeah, you go.
So I recently got the collector's edition of Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D.
I saw the unboxing. It was amazing.
I know
Mhm.
you were
looks
one
so
of the
good.
three.
Mhm.
Saw it.
I didn't
yeah.
like it though.
No.
I saw it,
Or
but
I
didn't-
downvoted that.
comment on it.
Yeah,
It has to be a 10 out of 10 for me to like or comment.
Yeah.
They-
I don't get out of
That's
bed.
why you don't comment on any of
for
them.
Unboxings. Too generic.
Yeah, I bought the collector's edition because I make poor financial decisions. I think I just
Rachel
recently
vibe
made...
checked that for us. Does he make poor financial
I'm
decisions?
not gonna comment on that one actually.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah.
Thank you, love.
You know, I think a little bit of her faith was restored when
Yeah.
you canceled the
thank
Alarmo.
Yeah, I did cancel Alarmo.
You've truly grown
I
up.
canceled it because I am with
Ra-
this wonderful
Ra-
woman.
Yeah,
Rachel-
you
Yeah.
share a bed.
Right, I was about to say Rachel was
Nintendo didn't calculate.
They didn't
Yeah.
count on any
Rachel,
of it.
Yeah.
Rachel
Right.
was told, I'm buying a $100 alarm clock and there's nothing
will
that can
not
be
work.
done. And also, Nintendo did not account for the fact that some people are not single
You'll have to sleep on the
And-
couch.
and that you will have to
Yep.
sleep on the couch. And
Not
then
everyone sleeps in a bunk bed, apparently.
not
Yeah.
all married couples sleep in
Upsetting.
bunk
I
beds.
don't know why.
But he made that smart financial decision.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
he canceled
I made the
it.
one.
Yeah.
He made a dumb financial decision by not by having to cancel it.
Let's not go there though. Let's highlight.
Let's highlight the
let's
good.
focus
Let's
on.
highlight
But you were
good.
saying the collector's edition of Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and to be fair, it was totally worth the price.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yes.
No, it's amazing. Came with all these little figurines. Please watch the short. It
Please.
look great.
no,
Please.
it's so good. And I was like, I think I buy a lot of collector's edition stuff. Not, I mean, like of my favorite series.
Uh-huh.
And it got me thinking. Like, this one might be my favorite. There's so much to it, and they like future farmed. If you don't know about the HD 2D, when they announced the release date for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, they also pulled a sneaky and they lingered on the screen. And then the logo disappeared and music started playing. They panned out, and it's like, by the way, we're remaking Dragon Quest 1 and 2 in HD 2D. The dope part is that this collector's edition is like a book, and when you open it up, there's a space for the
That's so
for the
cool.
Ooh, that is cool.
For the future releases.
for the one that you just got. The artwork in the background lines up with the box art, so when you put the box art in,
Mhm.
it lines up. And then on the other side is the space for the next game when it
That's
comes
so
out to put it in.
cool.
That's rad.
And I was
That's so
like,
cool.
this might be the
Square
coolest
has the
collector's.
best collector's editions.
They
of
do.
anybody. It's
And-
always like an art book and a steel book and a soundtrack and a vinyl record, and you can repaper your walls with it. And
Yeah, so much stuff. Quick side note that I'm very sad. Nintendo, don't know why, Mario never gets collector's edition.
They don't. Yeah.
Dude, the anniversary for Zelda last time was like, hey, we recolored a Game & Watch. Never talk to us again.
Te-
They just don't do collective.
Tears of the
collector stuff.
Kingdom
Well-
had a great collector's edition though. It had an art book and
No,
a steel
Zelda
book with
does
it.
get like custom consoles, and
Yeah.
like I got the collector's edition of Skyward Sword HD, beautiful. Mario, for whatever reason, they just don't do it. I don't really know why. They do a lot of commit, like the Mario 35 anniversary collection, like the pins and stuff. That's awesome, and if I could list that as my favorite, but it's not for a game.
Yeah.
It's just, anyways. So that got me wondering, what is your guys' favorite collector's edition that you guys own? You guys aren't big collectors. but
I don't
you
have
own
that.
that.
I
I
have
don't
the- I
have
have the
that
best.
many, but he's got
Yeah.
the best easily.
Ethan, well, tell us about it.
Oh,
What's the best?
I have the Last Stories collector edition.
That is
Oh, no, that
really
is special.
Great
That
one,
one's
yeah.
pretty good.
Because, yeah.
Unbeatable in how cool it is.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, the Last Story is from the company Mistwalker.
Mhm.
Sakaguchi, the legendary creator of Final Fantasy, is the founder of that company. And he is a real happy weirdo who makes very cool games. And he made a game on the Nintendo Wii called Last Story, and
Great
it is a phenomenal video game that they have. There are elements of the Last Story that they have. I don't think they've ever even come close to capturing in modern games with 10 times the horsepower.
Yeah.
Like the fact that as you walk around the city, like the way that the city is set up is incredible, because it's one of the few games where you never feel like you have to dash anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you just you
Feels
just
very
enjoy
alive.
moving.
They did a
Mhm.
good job.
Yeah, they have a button where you just like immediately look behind you, because like some of the social stuff that happens, you just kind of want to check
Yeah.
casually behind you. It's just
Mhm.
it is a 10 out of 10.
We could do a whole video.
I could do a
about,
whole
yeah, no.
video about it.
Me and Ethan have. I think we have perhaps more than any humans on the planet played that game through.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, that game just resonated so heavily, and it is an absolute travesty that they have not made anything that has the same feel as the last story.
Back to my original point,
Collector's
collector's edition, it is the last story. It has the beautiful artwork. I always forget the artist's name, but he's literally one of my favorite artists, so I should really stop doing that. But it has the beautiful artwork on the front, and it comes in a box that looks like a book. And it says the last
That's
story.
awesome.
And all
It's really cool.
on the inside, it not only has obviously the game, it has a CD with all of the music, and as Quentin can attest to, music in that game, 10 out of 10,
Absolutely phenomenal.
never misses.
Fantastic, yeah.
And then it has this fantastic art book to go along with it, that not only covers like all of the art from the game, but a bunch of concept art. And normally art books have some concept art. This one, when I say it has concept art, like, it's a fantasy story. You can go back through so much of their concept art that there's a point where they're all gangsters holding guns. That is how far back it goes. It is just comprehensive and beautifully put together.
I love when they put in art and stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
So the last story.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. It
Yeah.
sits on my bookshelf.
How long ago did you buy that?
That's been a while.
Let's
You
see.
got it at launch, didn't
Well,
you?
it was right after we crossed the Red Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Way
it
back
was.
when.
It was more than a decade now.
Well, I was about to say,
It
when did
was-
the last story come out?
It was late in the Wii's life, so like
Yeah.
2010,
It was 13 years ago.
13 years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
wild.
Wow.
It's
crazy.
it literally sits on my shelf next to Dante's Inferno and the Wheel of Time.
Very
because
fitting.
it fits in with all the
Very
rest of my
fitting.
books so well.
Yeah.
Ty, what's your favorite?
Yeah, I think on
I don't. Devin's right in that I don't have that many collector's editions of games.
I have an answer for you because I've seen your collection. And there's one I eyeball, and
I was
sometimes
also- I was also
sometimes feel the
thinking-
kleptomaniac
Yeah.
urge to steal.
The obvious one that is so good that I display proudly is Metroid Dread.
That's the
what
one I wanna
yeah,
steal.
that's what-
Absolutely
yeah, I was just
fantastic.
thinking
That
about
one
how
is
I want your
pretty
Metroid
great.
Dread one.
Steelbook and the art book. My previous one was probably Metroid Prime Trilogy,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as cool.
The
It just
steel
had
book.
it just had a steel book.
Yeah.
This is steel book, art book. I also had Skyward Sword when the original release.
I have an unopened Skyward Sword.
Yeah,
You sure do.
Which with
We
the
bought them at the same time.
we did, yeah. And the collector's edition came with the Wii Remote Plus and the it also came with the soundtrack. But I think I'm gonna go with Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread has a beautiful art book.
awesome.
That game was just so hype because they had been teasing us for 15 years about it, and since Metroid Prime 3, whenever that came out, and absolutely gorgeous.
And that's a very special one, since Metroid Dread is the last game that Nintendo ever made, and it was
They were
the
done.
first game that they had made in several decades.
Yeah.
So long.
Because Metroid Dread, gentlemen, here's a short little review. Metroid Dread is game.
It is.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
It might be the game.
Metroid Dread knocked my socks off.
It was
all
so
right?
good.
Metroid Dread makes me hard.
Oh,
no.
Hard with happiness.
It might have the best.
Let's not make that a catchphrase.
Please don't let that be his catchphrase.
Metroid Dread might have the best last boss in a Nintendo
It's
game.
so good.
It's really
Metroid
really
Dread
good.
made-
so good.
So you-
Honestly, that whole game's just like from the very first moment
Yeah.
to the very last. It is incredible, and playing it in 4K at high frame rates was wonderful.
when I'm gonna skip over that. When you play like old games like Super Metroid and stuff,
Mhm.
there's
game.
kind of this feeling of like we've gone to a different place in gaming. We can't do that anymore. And then you play Metroid Dread, and it's like, oh, we can do that.
Totally good.
Yeah.
We
We
could
did-
do that.
you did a good job.
and add to it. Like, anyways, I'm
It's
not
the
gonna
most
rant.
original, somehow also most nostalgic game.
Listen,
ever
Tell
made.
us more about the collector's.
Yeah.
The collector's edition is just it's not a particularly complex collector's edition. It some have like soundtracks with them and stuff. This is just an art book and the steel book.
Yeah.
But the art is gorgeous and everything is so high quality. It feels very deluxe
Yeah.
and I love it.
Can I tell you about my worst collector?
After Quentin's, tell us
Um,
about
yes,
your.
dude.
Now,
Don't
I
let me
want you to
forget
I
this.
want you to say your question one more time.
What's your favorite collector's edition of a game that you have?
I know which one this is. Come on. It's super obvious.
It is.
You have a giant case.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, that is
the
such a cool collector's edition.
It's gotta be.
He's gonna interdupe us here.
He's gonna interdupe us. Here he comes.
It's the collector's edition of my favorite game, Mario Wonder.
Didn't have a collector's edition.
The collector's
Swing and a
edition of
miss.
Mario Wonder of
Swing and a miss.
of
He made it
Mario
I wish it did.
of Mario Brothership, Brothers in Time, Bowser's Inside Story. That was one that I had.
Brothership did have a steelbook in Europe only.
I have a gigantic
Mhm.
delivery case with caution tape and a BB baby. That's that little fetus in a jar, and a Ludens figurine for the hit game
Mhm. What's it gonna be?
Death Stranding,
Oh,
which is game, but secretly doesn't seem to be game, but it is game.
but it's not old.
But it's not old.
It's made by an
He
old.
interduped us.
It was made by an old. I got interduped by Hideo Kojima, who said, I can still make game. And I said, no, you can't. Quit lying to me, old man. And then he made game.
He made
And it
game.
shocked and horrified me. I got interduped once again. And then I spent a bunch of money to have a bridge baby in a case that came with the special edition.
Did you
of,
buy it secondhand or did you get it new?
I bought it secondhand.
Yeah.
And I spent not that much. I don't think I really spent. Let me think. I actually spent less than the at market, and it was completely intact. Right,
That's awesome.
completely intact, not opened. Everything was together, and
That's what
I
happens
got it
when you
cheaper.
buy it from a secondhand store, not a scalper.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
bought it from a secondhand store shortly after release, and I was so happy
Yeah.
because it was in perfect condition. Love it. Have it set up. It's beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
what happens
And
when you
it's
buy
such a
things
cool-
from police auctions. They just
You know, somehow it just works out. You know, and I got the blood stains off the outside,
Yeah.
and everything inside was perfect. But I absolutely love that. Just the fact that it's a case from a game about delivering, and you've got like the
Mhm.
caution tape and just all these little details. It looks like it's a prop from the game.
Yeah.
I love when they do things like that, because a lot of collector's editions, they'll have artwork and things like that. That's wonderful. I love artwork, of course, but I love when they release something that is an item from the game,
That's so cool.
and it's like, oh hey,
Yeah.
I've been playing, I've played Death Stranding 100%. I
Mhm.
played it on the PS4. I played it 100% several times, and then I played the complete edition several times on the PS5, then on the PC.
Yeah.
And I played the original edition on the PC multiple times to 100%. So I just love this game, and then to have that an item from that game and the baby right in front of you, it's just so cool.
That's
It-
awesome.
It,
It's rad.
it
That's
really
awesome.
just like transcends the whole
So-
thing.
I have
What's the worst
two
one you have?
small
Ethan?
things to add. The
Yeah.
one of the coolest ones that I don't have anymore, and one that is the worst. Which would you like to hear first?
Let's
be
hear the
quick with
worst.
both.
Let's hear the worst.
Definitely the worst.
So, the worst collector's edition I have, and I don't know why I did this. Actually, I do know why, but it's a bad reason. It's a terrible reason. I have the collector's edition of Star Trek Online.
oh yeah, you
It
do.
looks like it would be so cool.
Yeah.
It's like a big box. You open it up. There's nothing inside of it. It's just weighted, right?
Yeah.
Like it just had weights. And there was like one little
That's
like
so
book.
disappointing.
And it had the.
It came with a little code to like. There's nothing inside because there's no
That is
download. There's no
sitting in your
CD.
room.
PC game.
Yeah, you and it has the Enterprise in it. You know, like it has this like thing of like a holographic cover. But you realize when you open it that the holographic cover is like space and then a clear spot in the middle, and they put the Enterprise behind it to try and give it like a
Is that
3D
what they
look.
did?
Right, and it's like
Okay.
it's like more of a frosted than holographic,
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
But when you open it up the first time, the little Enterprise falls out because it's a cheap piece of paper. So I printed off the rebel symbol from Star Wars
Oh,
and put
yeah,
it in the
yeah,
center
yeah.
of it.
Okay.
I'll send you a picture if you want to post it on
Sure,
the
sure. Yeah, that'd be
account.
good.
Garbage,
Incredible.
collector's
Pretty
edition.
cheaply
terrible.
made. However, what were you thinking
what's the
buying
cool
the
one?
collector's edition of Star
Yeah,
Trek
that's fair.
Online?
Don't
I
be
feel
silly.
like,
Why are you gonna make me say?
You need to say it.
Okay.
Why'd you do that to yourself?
Everyone
You don't have to
plays
say it if he
humans and
doesn't.
Vulcans. Everyone plays
Oh.
humans and Vulcans,
Okay.
and I was playing the Klingon campaign as a Gorn, and I was like, "This is rad," because they're one of my favorite
Yep.
aliens, and they're huge.
I
right?
actually liked the game. It
I
was
liked
pretty
the
fun.
game.
Yeah,
Fun.
it was fun.
And then I was like, you know what? I was looking through the library of races you can play as in the species you can play as in the Federation, and I'm like, I don't like all these, but I thought it was real funny that there were cat people in that one Star Trek. I bet you if I buy the
There are
collector's
34,
edition, I can
yeah,
play as a
there were-
Cation. And so I switched my character over into a big buff furry.
You did, yeah, big furry.
I remember the big buff
Yeah.
furry, yeah.
Fantastic.
And you're saying you got
Terrible idea.
you because you got
collector's edition comes
the
with
collector's
that,
edition comes with it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's how they sold them.
The worst collector's edition I ever got was the collector's edition of Red Dead 2, which just came with tuberculosis.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh
no. Oh, poor guy.
I'm
Poor guy.
gonna say that Dragon Quest 3 was my favorite, but I'm gonna
is
close it out with a
incredible.
little cheat. Technically speaking, Mario 3D All Stars did not have a collector's edition, but I love all the collector's stuff that came around the 35th
Yeah, it was
anniversary.
great.
I got like 3 T-shirts out of it that were really cool. I got pin set that's really cool. But the coolest one, and I love the way that I got it, was I got this little display. I'll show a picture of it on my shelf. It's the 3 games, Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy, and they have little coins associated with them. And why I personally love that was my first collector's edition of anything ever was Mario Galaxy when I was a little teenager.
Mhm.
It came with a little collector's coin of Mario and Luma flying. To see,
started it all.
yeah, it started it all, and the coin for Mario Galaxy in the 3D All Stars is like a recreation of that same coin. So I have
That's so
both
cool.
of them. But what I love is the way I found it. I was just walking around Best Buy. Like Best Buy is my mecca, and I love to go to Best Buy and just walk around. And it's just sitting there on a shelf for $10. And I was like, "What is this?" They're like, "Oh yeah, there was a pre-order bonus for the game, but we didn't get it in time, and so we didn't have a record of the people that pre-ordered it, so we're just gonna sell them." And I'm like, "That's messed up."
I'll take 2.
Yeah, I'll take 2. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm closing it off. That's my collector's edition.
That's nice. Yeah.
Good.
And I'd just like to add that Target is my Vatican City.
Yeah.
Oh,
who's
because Best Buy's my mecca.
Yeah, because you said
That sounded really
That
random.
sounded
for me.
so
I was
random.
I don't know why it sounded random because you just dropped the strange statement that Best Buy is your mecca.
It is.
Okay.
If you're
Who's
feeling
next?
Vatican
down-
City is my mecca.
Who's
Yeah.
who's got a topic next? Who's done their topic? I
Just Devin.
have
Quentin's
no.
out of it.
I have no perception
narcotics.
of time. Listen,
Just
honey.
me.
Why don't you do your topic before you come down?
Yeah.
Okay, I can get my
Out of the way.
topic. I've got my topic.
Ugh.
My topic is this.
Just gonna
My
do
topic is this. Don't worry, I'm going to look directly into the camera for this one.
Please do.
Excuse me. My topic is
Lord.
this. All right. Listen here, buddy boy. You think I don't know your name? You think I don't know your address? You don't think I have raw eggs at home? All right. Listen up, Leo-VZ9XZ. I know that's not your real name. Your real name's okay? And guess what? Your little nonsense comment. You think you could get away with it? Guess what, buddy? Your butt's going to the Alcatraz of pain. All right? Because you're never getting out. You can't paper mache your head out of this. All right? Buddy boy, you commented on this short. He missed a lot. Let me tell you something. A lot is a space lot. It's not a lot. Like MG1, MGS2. Did you forget about Metal Gear 2? I didn't mention that one either, buddy boy. MGS2, Portable Ops, and MGS-A, MGS-A2. I warned you so clearly that if you brought up Portable Ops, if you brought up Metal Gear Acid 1 or 2, I was going to come to your house and feed you a raw egg, because I know where you live, okay? You brought it up. That's 1. 2, I literally mentioned all of those in that short. You didn't even watch to the end, you despicable fool. So, you brought it up,
I don't think
you
you
made a
did.
mistake, okay? And it's the last one you're gonna make, all right? It's the last one you're gonna make, Because I'm going to make it clear, if you bring up Metal Gear Solid spinoffs, you're done. That's point number 2. Also, you're a crazy person because you said he missed a lot, and I brought it up, and I was positive. I literally said they were all so great. So I don't appreciate your attitude, but you're not going to have an attitude about anything, buddy boy, all right? Because let me tell you, I keep my promises, all right? I know you're a dress and you tested me for the last and first time. This is a no tolerance policy in this comment section. All right, now, for my topic.
Quinn
Hold on.
That topic was Quinn harasses one of our very few viewers.
One of our few viewers.
For my topic.
I literally
also,
wrote down Quentin dox his commenter.
Now, after I have laid the groundwork for all of that, I was just gonna say.
No way that can stay in.
What 3DS games do you guys like to play?
I like to play the Metal Gear you forgot about during your recent Metal Gear rant. Metal Gear Solid 3D.
Wow, that's not a spinoff, so you get a pass. I'm not gonna feed you a raw egg. That is a great.
I just want to point out, Quentin yelled at a fan over 2 different clips. There's a clip.
I'm so sorry, fan. He is on narcotics right now.
There's a clip of spin-offs where Quentin threatened to feed people raw eggs, and then there's one where he was just talking about his favorite series.
I know, but he said I missed a lot, and then he mentioned a bunch of spin-offs, and I said if you bring up spin-offs of Metal Gear Solid,
right, in a different clip that he may have not seen.
He may have not seen it because, buddy boy, you're not a real fan. You're not a real fan. You didn't even watch our podcast where I made this clear.
I want to, Clyde, reach out if you'd like to be on the pod.
You want to be on the pod?
Yeah, come onto the pod so I don't have to travel so far to feed you that raw egg. All right?
So Quentin's question, I guess, is 3DS
My question
games.
was, hey, give me 3 3DS games to recommend to me.
Okay.
Because it's the same as the DS question. What 3DS games you like? And no overlap.
Well, I already said Metal Gear Solid 3D, but I know you
go for your list. You got 2 more. Metal Gear Solid 3D.
Metal Gear Solid 3D.
And that is great.
There's a game
Especially
called
on the new
Moon
3DS.
Chronicles that not a lot of people have played. It's quite good.
That is a lot of fun.
Yep.
And then I'm trying to think of something a little bit esoteric. The Steel Diver series is quite fun.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
That's a good pick.
All right.
Ethan, go.
Oh, okay. Well, no one's going to have any of mine because they're weird, other than maybe one. So the one other people might have is Kid Icarus.
That's a great one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Fantastic.
Yep.
Sakurai tried it and said, I make too good of games when I'm not making Smash Bros. The greatest game.
So I need to go back
I'll
to
make
Smash Bros. Yeah.
The other one I would recommend is Ever Oasis. You ever played Ever Oasis?
I never played that.
Grezzo's game.
Very charming game.
Okay.
A little bit of flaws, but very charming. And Fantasy Life. If you haven't played
I was going to put that on mine.
They
Yeah.
are indeed.
That is a
after
really
the
nice one.
failure that was Fantasy Life 2, which
It was a mobile game.
Yeah.
no one knows
Fun
why. Fantasy Life is a delight.
It really
I
is.
don't know if you guys. I know you've played it. I'm not sure you have.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I was the angler.
Oh,
The
right.
invincible
Oh,
angler.
yeah.
I think all of
Yeah.
us
I think
played
all
Fantasy
of us
Life
played it.
and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
loved
I
it.
loved
I
it.
thought Fantasy Life was really great.
Fantastic. 10 out of 10. Extremely charming and had fantastic DLC. I don't know if you got to play the DLC. It's great. It's super good. Yeah. Those are
great.
my picks.
Those are great.
I think it covers a little bit of ground that's a little it's a little closer to my interests of like survival crafters, because both Fantasy Life and Ever Oasis, while they're not survival crafters, they are somewhat like gathering games in certain ways.
Mhm.
Ever Oasis is a very interesting game, but the only thing I warn people when going into it is don't expect a perfectly polished concept.
Yeah, no.
It's a really good concept, but it needed a sequel to like fix some of the weird little like,
I agree.
you know, those little like loose threads you'll sometimes get caught on in a game where it's like, oh, this menu is bad, or like, you know, the too many loading screens in this one area, like little stuff like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's actually a really, really fun game.
Yeah.
I agree.
Ty, you could have talked about your game picks instead of just moving on. That way we actually have some padding for this question segment. But
But I don't want to.
But it's up to you.
I don't wanna- no,
You obviously don't have to.
No.
And you just cut him off. He was about to do it.
Oh,
and
go,
then you-
Ty.
then you cut him off. Would you like to talk about any of those games that you just mentioned?
Yeah, I feel like Metal Gear Solid 3D is actually the best version of Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay. Hot take.
My spicy take. There are Yoshis to shoot in it
instead of
That
frogs.
is nice.
and they do something cool with the 3D effect that I won't spoil.
And also, there's
they modernized a lot of the controls. It's great, and they even enhanced the graphics. Other than the resolution, which is quite low, but there are ways around that.
there are certain ways to play the game with a really good resolution and also still all the new controls and whatnot.
And then actually, I'm not sure there are. It is terrible on emulation.
It's gotten a lot better.
The
especially
we'll go back to the emulation,
especially
brother.
if you have a
podcast.
$3,000 to $4,000 computer.
There is that.
So
it's just it's a great version of an incredible
especially
game.
if you emulate your games on the crashed UFO in my backyard.
right.
Sounds like a dream. The hologram sometimes comes in and yells at me in a horrifying language, but you just wave him away.
Just
It's
play
fine.
that off.
Ignore him. Yeah.
So that game is incredible. What was my second game?
You didn't have one.
This is the Dementia podcast.
I definitely did.
I swear to God.
You had Metal Gear Solid. That's what I was worried to
Yeah.
go back to.
Yeah,
You had Metal
I know,
Gear
right?
Solid.
Steel Divers.
You had the Steel Divers
I had
series.
the Steel
and
Divers
Moon.
series. Moon Chronicles. Moon Chronicles
Chronicles.
is a remake of a DS game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
that was released in like parts,
Mhm.
but it never got finished.
Oh.
And so they released the whole thing as Moon
I
Chronicles
did not
on
know that
3DS.
background.
And it's quite fun. It's a little Metroid, a little bit more actiony.
And it's spooky.
Very spooky.
It is a spooky game.
Really just a super fun game. I actually really enjoy shooters on the DS and 3DS. I think the touchscreen works quite well for aiming.
It also had gyro.
It also did have gyro. Moon Chronicles had gyro.
Can I throw one more in there
Yeah.
because I don't think it would normally count?
The more the merrier. It doesn't have to be 3.
because it's a DSiWare or it's a eShop game only.
Oh, that's fine too.
Is
Those are
the
totally
game
fine.
Crimson Shroud?
Oh,
I'd mentioned it before
okay.
on the pod.
Yeah, I remember you saying
Crimson
that.
Shroud is fantastic.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of this until you told us about it.
Yeah.
It's bonkers good.
Steel Divers. Do you want to talk
The
about
Steel Diver series. I'm going to replace Steel Divers because
Oh.
I thought of a better one.
Oh, go ahead.
Which is Metopia.
Okay.
Metopia, absolutely 10 out of 10 game.
Great game.
You put all your friends into a little town full of Miis and then watch them like interact.
Are you thinking of Tomodachi Life?
I am thinking of Tomodachi Life. Sorry, Metopia is the adventure game.
RPG.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the adventure RPG.
It's also on Nintendo.
Also
Which is-
fantastic. But
Which
I'm going to talk
Metopia
about.
is perfectly acceptable.
I am going to
love
talk
all
about
the Mii games,
Tomodachi
but-
Life, but yes, Metopia is great. Tomodachi Life. I may have never laughed so hard at a video.
No,
game
that was brilliant.
as Tomodachi Life.
That was
great.
that game was so brilliant that the
recreated-
fact that Nintendo has not released Tomodachi
I
Life
know.
2 is
Upsetting.
insane. No, it's insane.
It's insane. We recreated the then still alive, tragically now deceased minor celebrity Billy Mays.
Yeah.
From the
of course.
I loved our Billy Mays.
And Billy Mays kept showing up in the most
like
ridiculous
nightmares and stuff.
scenario.
Pretty sure he
Yeah.
was
in our
dead when
nightmares.
Tomodachi Life
Was he?
came out. But you're thinking about it on the
We
Wii.
made him when he was alive.
On the Wii.
On the Wii.
Yeah.
But then
Yes.
we had a long tradition of
we didn't make a dead celebrity to laugh at them.
we,
he was
uh,
alive.
we had a long tradition of putting Billy Mays on our Wii and
Yeah.
everything.
We carried him
And
forward.
then Billy Mays, being of corporeal form, passed on due to some reason that nobody can tell why.
He was
It's a night
he was
everywhere.
He was
Eldritch
literally
demon.
in like your dreams. Billy Mays shows up
Haunting
and
you.
haunts you. I don't know
showed up
why
as
it
a-
picked him.
He showed up as a spider once.
He was a spider once.
That was the
Yeah, it
best.
was crazy.
Yep.
I knew that was gonna
You've knocked down a
happen.
prop.
It's just sitting there.
I knew
didn't
that
do
was
it.
gonna
Oh, okay.
not attacked
So yeah,
yet.
Tomodachi Life, 100%.
Yeah.
That is a really good. That was actually going to be on one of mine. But
Yeah.
okay, Devin.
Steel Divers, just because submarines are cool.
That's
are
cool.
They are cool.
All right, Devin,
That's true.
Give me some 3DS games that you
3DS
like.
games. You know, the 3DS is such a good console, and I love it so much. But sometimes my brain goes blank when I try to think of 3DS
Simply
games
too extensive.
because there's too many.
Spoilers, your brain was always blank.
Well, I have the problem of overlap between
yeah.
DS and
Same,
3DS,
yeah.
and then again,
I'll be like, you should play Mario 64.
I really love Mario
Crystal
64.
Chronicles games.
No.
I played them on the D3DS.
Which, let me
but-
tell you,
Yeah.
we could talk for. I could literally write a book about Rings of Fate. That is such a good game. But anyways,
The first one I'll say is a pretty obvious one for me because it's my favorite game on the console. Mario and Luigi Dream Team.
that's a good one.
Love
Yeah.
that game.
And the music is unbelievable in Dream
Yoko
Team.
Shimomura, Chef's Kiss.
If you can find a way to listen to that soundtrack that Nintendo hasn't sent their little Matrix robots to
It's
delete.
It's on YouTube. You can
But if
listen
you
to
can
it.
listen to that soundtrack, that game's
No, it's so
unbelievable.
good. If you can fight, you have to fight through the mandatory tutorials. For whatever reason, they really thought that players would struggle with I don't know why. Like the bros moves and everything, you have to do the tutorial each time.
I feel like that was that era.
Yeah.
Everything Nintendo.
So you're
released
in
around
like
that time.
late game.
I mean, it's no Sonic the Dark Brotherhood.
No.
which is pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Surprisingly
No,
pretty good.
but you do have to fight through the tutorials. Like you're in like late game and you get a new move and mandatory tutorial, and you're like,
That's a
bro,
little annoying.
you're like,
but,
bro, this works the same way as every other Dream Power. That
yeah,
so it's a
sure.
little annoying, but the
minor
like,
inconvenience.
yeah, but like the dream battles and stuff with Luigi that use gyro and stuff, so good.
So good.
I don't know why anyone complained about that. That was so much fun.
I mean,
It's almost like people have
it-
irrational complaints about Mario Luigi.
I can
Yeah,
take that.
right.
So
Yeah, that's a great.
Dream Team is a big pick. The other one that I'll say that like I feel like it doesn't get the kind of attention that maybe it deserves is, and this might sound strange because it does get attention, but would be the Mario 3D Land.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
Mhm.
Mario 3D Land.
Mario
a good
3D Land.
Yeah, you didn't react at all, so I was kind of like, do you know what I mean?
No, I know Mario 3D Land.
No,
I'm familiar with that game.
Most people regard it as a great game, but I think it's really, even me myself, I think sometimes I forget about it. But like when I go back to play it, it's really fantastic. Like, it's such
whenever
a-
It holds up.
Whenever I
It's
think
like-
about Mario 3D Land, the one problem that I have is that it was Nintendo. It's one of those games that Nintendo said like, "Hey, we're actually going to use the 3D in this, right?"
Yeah.
And so now playing it on a device which does not support
Mhm.
3D, whatever that might be,
The 2D.
2DS.
the 2DS,
obviously.
right?
Yeah.
You now have to use their, I would say, somewhat clunky methods
Sure.
of seeing the environment as you're supposed to.
It utilized it really well, but it was never mandatory. It was just
No,
something
you
where
can
like
you can stand on these
accented
little
it.
spots and they change the camera perspective, and you can do that, and it just
It's not.
it's
It doesn't.
it's
feel as good.
clunkier and it doesn't feel as
Yeah.
pleasant as
Yeah.
just when you have that original 3DS and you're looking down it and it just
Yeah. I'm a
But-
big fan. Like I really loved 3D, and like I thought that it created this, like when it was used properly, it made the games feel like a little diorama that you were watching, especially like Dragon Quest 6. That game's fantastic in 3D. The other one that I'll say is from a series that we should talk about more often. You should play Star Fox 64 3D.
You took another one of my. I mean, you,
You
took
should
it-
play
no-
Star Fox 64 3D.
So far, I've had to recreate my list twice
Yeah.
now. Okay.
For me, it's rare
Um,
for you to take,
rare.
especially an N64 game, put it onto like portable hardware like the 3DS, and me go like, oh, there's like it's better than the original. Like there's always going to be something where I'm like, if you don't go play the original, you're missing out on something. Star Fox 64 3D is as close to just like getting in every way improvement. The only thing it doesn't do is like haptic feedback was a big deal in Star Fox 64.
Only if you owned a Rumble Pack.
If you
and
own
I
a Rumble
didn't.
Pack.
Well,
yeah.
it came with a Rumble Pack. Star Fox 64.
How did I get
did.
the game and never have a Rumble Pack?
We
had a
bought all
Rumble
our
Pack,
Bought it at
N64
a
games
yard sale.
Yeah,
secondhand.
probably it.
No, but Star Fox 64 3D, such
Great
a good game. Such a
It
good
really
game.
is. I mean, being able to
Fantastic.
because I mean, Star Fox 64 is game and is in fact one of the best game that
Maybe
was ever
the
made.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the game.
Yeah.
Like I think that game is held
What is
up
your
better than
thesis
almost-
coming out about it?
Yeah.
When it's
Your thesis
it
is
is
inside.
it's
of a
inside the
different
Sonic
game.
Adventure
Yeah.
review, so it'll take that coming
Yeah.
out
So
first.
never.
So never.
No, I love that
God
game.
willing.
Star Fox in general is such a great franchise. It is the most. Don't come at me, F-Zero fans. It is the most underutilized series in Nintendo's repertoire. There's so many good ideas for Star Fox, and we have the original Star Fox remade 3 times and adventures. So go play Star Fox 64 3D, viewers.
Absolutely.
And go play Dinosaur Land.
So-
the weird leak of
Yeah,
the
go
original.
play what?
No.
what was it called?
Dinosaur
Dinosaur
Planet was a
Oh.
leaked version of
Dinosaur or Sonic. Star Fox Adventures.
of Star Fox
Yes,
Adventures.
go play Dinosaur Planet.
which is
Yeah.
really fun. I have played that. That's a really good list. However, all of you have made me replace my third in my list. Literally every single one of you.
Yep.
All of you have somehow done this.
We replaced all yours.
My number 3 was going to be Fantasy Life. And then I said, well, I can't use Fantasy Life now. Thanks. You, of course, said Metal Gear Solid 3D. And I said, well, can't use my third now. And then you said Star Fox 3D.
Yep.
Which says, now I can't use my third now.
Got
So
it.
I'm going to
Got it.
list the first 2 games on
Okay.
my 3DS games to celebrate the DS. I would have done the DS, but we already did what
Yeah,
DS
we
games
did.
you want.
Yeah,
Because it is, to remind everyone, it is the anniversary of the DS and not the 3DS.
Oh my
However,
God.
somebody-
He brought it back.
Somebody-
It's perfect that we do 3DS
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
on the DS's
'Cause
anniversary because we had a
somebody-
3DS.
Man, look at
didn't
that.
have.
I knew that was going to be Quentin's question.
Yep,
That's why I
of
put
course.
that up there. Of
So
course.
the first one I'm going to say,
Insane.
and I've mentioned this multiple times on the pod,
yeah,
is Attack of the Friday Monsters.
It's a
great game.
Attack of the
Fantastic
Friday
game.
Monsters is such a cute game. It's so fun. It's so cute. It's a short little
It's
experience.
not as scary as it sounds.
It's just
Does it sound
it's
scary?
kind of weird.
Monster.
It's a little
Yeah.
weird. It's an unusual. If you haven't played any of the Boku no Natsu Yasumi games, feels a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a lot of fun. They
Yeah.
kind of have a pretty simplified rock paper scissors style mini game
Yeah.
with the sort of little monster fighting
Combat,
You know? Yeah, and it's just a really cute. It's a really cute short story, essentially, with beautiful backgrounds, really nice character designs. Honestly, I think it's got the best character designs of any Boku no Natsu Yasumi game. I think that they look.
It's really good.
They
The
look.
art
I
style's
love the art
amazing,
style. It's
yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. It's got some. Just play it, find it somehow, however you can. Play it on your 3DS if you've got the free shop, or a DS that has it and you
Mhm.
purchased it legally through a seller of it, or play it upscaled on your modern hardware, because Nintendo doesn't deserve.
That's going out. We're not,
any
we're
of your
not
money.
getting sued on
Anyways,
this
the
podcast.
point is, play that game.
Yeah.
That game is really lovely.
Yeah.
I also was going to say Tomodachi Life, and you said that one too. So I actually had to remake.
Double got him.
Your whole list just got eviscerated.
You were
whole
happy when I
list-
said Metopia.
I really was.
Yeah.
And then you started describing Tomodachi Life, and I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
did.
this guy. He's always just throwing a stone in my path.
Yeah.
The next one I'm gonna say is Animal Crossing New Leaf with Welcome Amiibo.
Yes.
Because Animal Crossing New Leaf with Welcome Amiibo is the single greatest Animal Crossing game.
It's pretty great.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of content they added with that DLC, it's basically a new game.
Basically.
Already, it was wonderful. It's
They
a new
added a
spin
full
on
version
things.
of Puzzle League.
And and they added so many new items and so many new characters.
Yeah.
They added new villagers and new stuff to do. It was just
It was a new
gorgeous,
game, yeah,
and it was a new space. And I just loved it. That's the one where I felt like it was the perfect little in between. It didn't have. Some of the magic was still already lost from previous games in the series, because I do miss when villagers were absolutely despicable.
Aggressive villagers.
They were aggressive and evil, and some of them just hated you based on race, color, or creed, you know. And I really loved that in
Resonates
Animal
with
Crossing.
me.
Quentin,
Right?
yeah, just in Animal Crossing.
Just in Animal Crossing.
Quentin doesn't want that anywhere else.
I don't want that anywhere else,
Right.
but I liked that I got discriminated against in Animal Crossing because
Yeah.
it's like a cute little bunny calls you a slur.
We were too nice to him.
That
growing
was
up.
my
Yeah,
experience.
he
Crave.
clearly get bullied enough.
I craved the
adversity.
bullying, but
Yeah.
New Leaf just was the perfect all arounder. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it was
just
a
got.
great game.
If you are one of those people that have not played it in the past and you won't feel like a tourist playing it, again. If this is your first time, you've never played New Leaf, go play it. Don't even worry about the new ones they release. New Leaf is game, and it's just go play it.
Yeah,
It's
just
absolutely
do it.
wonderful.
Just
Now
do
for
it.
my third one,
Go.
since you all stole my third one 4 times, I am going to say not just one game. I'm going to say every Street Pass game.
Ooh,
Oh,
good
yes.
pick.
Once
Yeah,
again,
those are
some-
super fun.
I
something
miss it
that
too. So good.
can't be totally replicated now,
Mm-mm.
though I do believe, Metopia that was brought to the Switch had
No,
did it not have a Street Pass functionality of some kind?
it probably did in the original
It was a
game.
friends thing.
In the original
Yeah.
It wasn't a street pass.
Was it
was
not
like
Street Pass,
Metopia
but
wasn't
your
connected to the
friends.
games
so
you're talking
so
about.
then they have brought none of these
No.
over to anything else.
Can't really. Their basic function is meeting other people.
Is
with
meeting other
Street
people.
Pass, yeah.
And Nintendo made the huge mistake of not having Street Pass
Switch
on
2?
the Switch. They won't because they hate us.
Hot take.
But-
one of the Joy Cons should have had like some function in it.
Yes.
It would be neat, and you
yes.
could just put it in
take
your
it with
pocket.
you.
No, and it
That's a great
absolutely
idea.
no,
actually.
and they should have treated
Call
one
me
of the
Nintendo.
no, they should have treated one of the Joy Cons as both Street Pass and as a Pokewalker, and the fact that they didn't because
crazy.
it has
Wild.
all the material to have a pedometer in it. So it, anyways.
Do you remember a
Nintendo-
console where there was a little thing in the controller that had a screen on it, and you could take it out?
Oh
with you
yeah,
and
yeah,
play on it?
yeah.
No.
It was the greatest console
What was that?
that was ever released in the greatest generation of consoles ever released, and then man, in their hubris, did not purchase it
No.
and did not care about it, and I am the only one who carries the sacred flame.
And we
Um,
can't rebuild the
Here,
pyramid.
scooch in a little
and
bit.
you-
I'm,
and
I'm
you can't-
terrified that you leaned out of
And you
shot.
can't. And you
Scooch.
There you
Scooch
go.
towards me.
There you
There you go.
and you can't rebuild that pyramid. So the point is, where was I? Oh
You're
yeah.
awfully close.
Street Pass is absolutely something that we can't replicate,
No.
and it's
Can't
really
build it
sad.
again.
But if you are able to get a 3DS
Mhm.
that already has enough Mii's on it to play through all the Street Pass games, all the way through, and have
Yeah.
all that fun, all those fun characters, have all the special ones that Nintendo sent you, then play those because those games are so fun. It was wonderful whenever they would update them and new Mii's would show up. It was absolutely exhilarating, and you would
Yeah.
go out and you would meet people, and you would go to the Best Buy events or the other events that held
I
other
love
places,
Street Pass. Yeah, it
and
was
you would
great.
get special, like Shigeru Miyamoto would show up and
Yeah.
he'd bring you a little
So
message.
cool.
It was really funny, and occasionally you'd see someone who created a characterized and offensive Mii face that somehow didn't get reported, and that's on your 3DS forever.
You would report it.
And I would not report
I
it.
was like Quentin.
It was like a collector's item. Anyway, so I'm going to say all of those games. There was
It's great.
just such a good variety,
Yeah.
and they were a lot of fun.
3DS.
And I hope you can get your hands
I
on
have
a
to
3DS.
cut out one of the things Quentin did. Which one do you think it's going to be, viewers? Rachel, say your one 3DS game that everyone should play.
Oh, it's a little niche. Mario Kart 7.
Oh, that's a good
Oh
one.
wow!
Oh,
You picked-
the
Rachel, I'm gonna
hidden game.
I'm gonna
Mario Kart
pause
7.
you. I'm gonna fact check you again.
Oh no.
What game on 3DS do you like? Do you bow to and
Oh,
worship?
Oh yeah, Ocarina of Time 3DS
you.
remake.
Oh, of
Yeah.
The
course.
best way to play Ocarina
It
of
really
Time
is.
because
Oh,
you could just
Unquestionably.
Hot take.
like snap your boots on and off real quick. You don't have to
Yeah.
go through the menu. It's got the arrows in the water temple.
I
The
have
water
the
temple is much
yeah.
better.
I have the
yes.
unpopular opinion that Majora's Mask is also better on the 3DS.
You
Though
were
they-
wrong.
I
There were
believe
some
you.
questionable
Yeah.
decisions.
You sir,
but
incorrect.
It,
No,
but
just
okay,
too
but
many
anyways,
quality of life. things.
Literally, I made her say that because literally, I'll get Rachel into a new Zelda game.
Mhm.
Like I got her Skyward Sword, bought her own copy with my hard-earned money.
right.
Get her into
Mhm.
Tears of the Kingdom. She'll play like 3 hours and she'll be like, I want to play Ocarina of Time again.
It's
And
true.
I'm like,
Yeah.
literally
it's
me.
my video game
they're gonna remake
autistic
Ocarina.
Sorry, I
special
couldn't let
interest.
that question
They're
go
gonna
by.
remake
No, yeah.
Ocarina of Time, and she'll play that for 3 hours and then
Go back to 3D.
Go to 3D.
Yeah.
And honestly,
yeah.
that is a very good point because every time I play honestly, not just limited to Zelda games, just pretty much it could be any game. I'll be going, man, I should really play Ocarina of Time again.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, man, I should really play insert A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Oracle,
Just old
you know,
Zelda game.
the Oracle games, and then so on and so forth.
Time wants to close out, so you go.
All right. Are we thinking positive or negative tonight?
After mine, you gotta go positive.
You gotta go. Positive.
I heckled
Okay.
our commenter. You gotta go nice.
Cool.
Say something nice about one of the commenters.
Find a
at the beginning.
commenter
All
real
of the
quick.
commenters are great. So
especially the one that made
too
fun of
broad.
Quentin for missing
Terrible.
yourself. Yeah, spend a whole hour praising the commenter that heckled Quentin.
I love those.
okay.
Love those guys. Commenters, our fans who subscribe to our Patreon. God bless them. Continue.
Okay. Something crossed my mind the other day, and I thought about it. I have a few games in my Steam library that I got when they were on sale, or I picked them up at a time where I thought I'd have more time to play games, and things came up. And at some point, I started to look back through them, and I've gone through a bunch of them, but there are some where I look at them and I go, this game looks so good, but I know I'm not going to invest in playing it. It's like I know it's going to be like an investment to play,
Yeah.
and I know I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks really good, and it always feels like, you know, that one that got away that
Yeah.
you just think about every once in a while. Like, man, if only I had put in more effort, right?
Yeah.
What's your guys' game that got away in the sense that like there was not either an opportunity to play it or you
tried or
picked it
something.
up, but then you realize like I love this is fantastic, but I'm not going to put in the effort to learn to play this.
The podcast isn't long enough for me to list all of the
So
games
many, yeah.
that I got on Steam sale. Right now, there's a game called Oblivion Override that I've been looking at in my Steam library. It's actually installed and has been for like 6 months, and I've never played it. And I have played very briefly. And it was super fun. I liked it a lot. But it just the other things have kept coming up, including replaying old games, and I don't know what's wrong with me. And I can't.
Well,
I can't
old games
finish it.
are
Old game
games.
is game.
Old game
What
is
looks
dumb.
good
Yeah.
about it, and can you articulate why it is daunting to play it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of like a Metroidvania, but roguelike, but kind of a roguelite. It has some like progression systems and stuff. I love the vibe and the art style. It's just a super fun game, but it is daunting because it's a difficult game, like a lot of roguelites. And so like when I sit down, one of the reasons I play like games I've beaten before is because I'm good at them and I don't have to learn new mechanics or anything, and I'm kind of switching my brain off because it's at the end of a day where I've been doing other things and working on stuff, and I just want to relax, and that's what I've been gaming for the last little while. And so it is kind of daunting to pick up, but honestly, as with many of the games in my Steam library that I haven't touched, I don't know why I'm not playing these games all the time.
To be fair, it could also be a game that you have played, you just don't go back. Like you played it a little bit, like, and then dipped out.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to pigeonhole everyone else, but yeah, but yeah, you were specifically talking about this one being a game you haven't played, or
This
you
one I
haven't
played I played the demo.
Oh, okay.
And then I bought the game and I installed the game, and then I never played
It's
again.
kind of Souls-like looking.
It's a little.
I watched you play.
It's
some
like
of
a 2D Souls-like almost.
kind of dark fantasy.
No, it's like cyberpunk.
Oh,
kind of
okay,
thing.
never mind, I didn't watch that.
The one that's a dark fantasy is another great example because I shouted out on this very podcast called Void Rot.
Void Rot.
I bought it.
Mhm.
It's also installed.
And you still have not.
Nope.
No. Okay.
Not pulled the ripcord on that one.
Wow.
Because once again, it's a difficult game, and I
Okay.
play exclusively things that are easy and make me feel good.
That is a
about
lie.
myself.
That is
No
a lie.
yeah,
I know
it's
the
not
games
true.
you've played.
That's not true. I've I played Shadow of the Erd Tree and think everyone's a wuss for saying it was too hard. But the
Same for Hollow Knight.
Same for Hollow Knight. But yeah, I have no idea. I honestly don't know. It's like that decision paralysis you sometimes get, except with games that you know you will love. And yeah, I can't.
Now
You can't.
But
You
I
think
have
maybe
so
your
many
library
more.
is just too big?
Yeah, that's also possible. I
that's
think
a-
maybe I
You
just
have,
have
like,
too
over
many.
1,000.
I have
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say,
many,
I
because
think
get
a
them
lot
on
of
sale.
a lot of Steam users have that
I'm
problem.
the
where
only
it's
one with a
just stupid.
reasonable Steam library.
You really are.
mine's-
Yeah.
I
mine's
have
pretty
like
small, too.
I
I
have
was
like
gonna say, yeah.
40 games.
Yeah.
It's your other libraries
that are
It's ruining your life.
Yeah.
That room next to
We
us
don't
that
talk
needs a
about
that.
library.
While you were asking your question,
Oh no!
right? I was off in another land. All right.
Because the narcotics.
It's called
are wearing off.
Narcokia. Okay?
Narconia.
And while I was over in Narcokia,
Fitting
I was
name.
not able to perceive your question. Therefore,
There are simpler ways to ask me to re-answer the question.
it's a process.
Okay.
Don't
Continue the
undercut the process. Listen, quit dodging the process if you want serious change. All right? A wise man once told me that. All right? My surgeon. Now,
So is it your dealer?
please,
Surgeon.
would you restate your question for me?
What is a game that you think is good and are interested in,
Okay.
but then you're not going to play it for some reason?
Dang,
you know that I'm
okay.
not going to invest the
Mhm.
time to learn
Mhm.
how to play this game, or
Oh, I should be clear with mine. I
Man.
believe I will play these games one day, but I might be fooling myself.
All right.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah,
what
of
I'm going to
course.
say is that I caught the last part of your question, and I thought that maybe the first part wouldn't have been important, and I thought of a game, but then now I've heard the first part of your question,
Mhm.
and I realize it was important because you said a game that you think looks good,
Yes.
right? But that you won't take the time to learn and play.
Yeah.
Since I didn't catch that and I already thought of it, I'm disregarding the first part because there's no rules here, and I'm going to say.
I wish
I-
there was.
I'm going to say that the game that I saw and thought was too complicated for me to invest my time to learn how to play it and get into it was that Star Fox Zero game on the Nintendo Wii U.
You can't disparage Star Fox.
so easy.
On
No,
this
listen.
podcast.
What happened is that I looked at it and I said, "Wait a minute, gentlemen." I said, "Wait a minute. I'm confused and scared. Is that a stick or a bug?" Right? Was that face in the woods? Was that some kind of horned owl or a demon? I don't know. I'm a caveman. So when I
He's
saw
still in Narcokia or whatever.
So when I saw a Star Fox game, I thought, well, I don't understand. Star Fox is game.
right,
Star Fox is game, and game is good.
and it's back.
And then I looked at it, and then they said, you've got to move this tablet thing around to
Yeah.
play game. And Shigeru Miyamoto came to my house, and he threw it at me. He whipped it at me, and he hit me in the head.
Yeah.
Right? And he said, you have to play it at Star Fox.
Yeah,
Well, I was scared and afraid. I didn't know. And so I said, this is too complicated. I literally felt overwhelmed by the control
Star
scheme
Fox Zero. Yeah,
that I said,
'Cause you're a big baby.
I said, I have this in front of me. It is in my home. It is in the Wii U. I could play it. It is Star Fox. And I simply was too afraid. I was too scared of... I was in a caveman-like state.
Yeah.
I was too scared to play it. And so that's my answer. Now, you said game that you thought was good that you
Right.
had. And since I did not think that...
right.
Because
Well, we're going to count it because that was a good game.
because
It
you
was
think
a
it's a
good
good game,
game,
and
yeah.
so we're going to count it. And I'm going to say Star Fox Zero because it is the only Star Fox game I've never played.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
It's the only one I haven't played, and it's the only
you
one I have not
play-
played.
I bet
through
you haven't
multiple
played
times.
Star
played-
Fox Guard.
Guard.
Yes.
No, I did play Star Fox Guard.
Oh well, never mind.
On Wii U?
Yes, on the
That's
Wii
good.
U. Yes, the little Rob
Star Fox
robot
Guard is
where
great. I
Slippy's
love it.
creating robots to protect the base.
As
Yes, I've
the
played-
as
Sir-
the Slippy rep on this team, Star Fox Guard might be the best one.
It's pretty
I
good.
love it, yeah.
Listen,
Slippy's
sir,
finally the main character as he should be.
Sir, when I said I have played every Star
You're
Fox game
right, I'm
multiple
sorry.
times, I was not fooling.
The only Star Fox game I've never played is 2. I've never played Star Fox 2.
It's right there.
Oh my God, honey.
I have it
it's
on
literally
Switch.
you got Switch
Yeah.
Online. Isn't
I
it
also
on
have
there?
a SNES Classic where it was first.
What?
released. I'm sorry.
You're
You know what?
so
You know what?
Take the banner down.
Okay. I'm
Take
sorry.
down the.
Give me that R wing.
I'm gonna have to slap it and we go back to the more.
Go back to the more, guys.
Oh, God.
Now, okay,
so that's my answer.
mine to make Ethan angry is Enshrouded. No, I'm kidding.
Have you
Um,
not
No,
played
that's right.
Enshrouded?
That's
no,
correct.
no.
It is
Honestly, if I had a gaming PC or Enshrouded would just come out already on a video game console for video games, that'd be nice.
They're
No,
gonna keep
mine
teasing
is
us.
easy. You guys both know what it is because you both were present for me trying the many times that I tried and failed miserably. It's Final Fantasy 14. I like watching you guys, like, you know that the Squidward meme. He's looking through the
looking through the window.
blinds.
Yeah.
That was me because I had got into Monster Hunter World because I could run it on my computer that I found in someone else's garbage. That's not a joke. That's a real
Yeah,
thing
it's a
that
real
I
thing
did.
that happened.
Rachel was there.
I was there when you
Mhm.
salvaged it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't run a lot, but I could run Monster Hunter by some miracle, running on a Pentium computer. But I would join Discord and watch you guys. You guys would stream Final Fantasy 14. It looked like so much fun, and I love Final Fantasy games.
It's also made by the Dragon Quest guy.
Yeah.
Like it's a
Yoshi
it's a Dragon
P
Quest game.
was from Enix, yeah, and he
Yeah.
worked on Dragon Quest. So I was like, this looks great, but like my many attempts to get into it taught me that I'm not built for MMOs because you have to be willing to play it when no one else is around. You have to be willing to just go, which is true of a lot of games like Monster Hunter. If you're just playing Monster Hunter with friends, you'll lag behind a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot because it's more of an action game, but you will lag behind a little bit. You got to play it on your own.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy and every MMO, you got to be willing to, like, when everybody's logging off, you got to be willing to just keep going.
Well, the story is largely meant to be experienced alone
By yourself,
Basically,
yeah.
they don't have interactive story
And-
moments like the Old Republic or something.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. There's something about the format of MMOs that was just like, I can't get into it. I loved to play with you guys, but I always felt like a burden because I didn't know how to play the game. And so,
Just like in real life,
just like in
always
real
a
life,
burden.
always
you
a
were
burden.
never a burden in Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Saw that
yeah,
one coming.
okay.
So Final Fantasy 14, I'm sure it's a great game, but it's never going to happen. I almost got into it with Dawn Trail, its most recent expansion, and then you guys dipped out of Dawn
I've
Trail.
never
I
been
mean,
able to finish Dawn
it's
Trail.
I
sad.
mean,
You-
I don't
I
think
got
we
out
need
of
to
it.
do a Dawn Trail rant, but I will say Final Fantasy 14 might be good, but it's no Flife.
Oh, we did play that together.
We played that together. That's an
not
MMO.
Star Trek Online.
It's
It's not
Maple
Star Trek on the
Story.
hit game Star Trek Online.
where the furry vacation special power is jumping forward at crazy high speeds and punching you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
A
remember
cool
that.
thing for a dude with technology to do.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
It's
I have a
really-
laser gun, but I guess I'll do
I
this.
guess I'll just leave. So, anyways,
yeah.
bloop, 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 bloop.
And we're back.
Final Fantasy 14. I wish I could play it.
Okay.
Can't play it. Not
Cool.
gonna play it. Don't
All
want to
right.
play it. Refuse to play it.
All of the above.
All right.
Who hasn't answered?
What's
I haven't
yours,
answered my
Ethan?
own question
Oh,
yet.
go ahead and answer your own
Uh,
question.
So I have two, but one of them's really way too simple.
I'm gonna
Is that
answer yours for you, Mario Party, because you never
I-
play with me.
God, I play Mario Party so much. I hate
Wow,
playing
those
games.
childhood
As
wounds
soon as
do
we
not
finish
heal.
Yeah.
recording.
I've never played a game I hate more so much.
Guess what, buddy
It's a
boy?
real
It's a thing called
testament to-
content. You're going to be playing it a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, coming
Oh
soon.
wow, that'll really
Okay.
change the every time I'm over here and I get forced to play Mario.
It's true.
So one is called Eastwind. It is a beautiful little
Oh,
game where you
I've
play as
seen that
a
game,
painter,
Mhm.
and you travel around. And I don't know why I can't pick it up because I don't understand what kind of game it is. I look at the
Yeah.
screenshots of it and the videos of it. I'm like, how do you play the game? Where's the jump button? And then I don't install it. But that one's very simple. The other one is one I've actually
Where's
played
the
a
jump
lot of, but I never got through 10% of the game. And at some point I realized like there's too much here. There's too
Mhm.
much here. The game is called Outward.
Mm-hmm.
It is a phenomenal game.
I've also seen that game. Yeah,
It's so good. But when I started playing it, it'll remind you of like the old Bethesda games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We played it for a while.
We played it for a while. It's got multiplayer. It's got split screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. But it is meant to be like the experience and life story of your character.
Mm.
Your character's living in this village. He messes up really bad and he loses everything. And he becomes an outcast from his own village.
Wow.
And so you create your character and then you pick everything about them. You start off very blank slate and then you just progress as you level up, and you basically just become stronger in whatever you decide to do. Are you going to just be like a sword fighter? Are you going to fight with a staff or a giant axe? You're having to invest a lot to figure out how these weapons play and feel.
Yeah.
And at some point I had gotten into the second zone. It had gotten really difficult. And the game's always difficult. It's an incredibly difficult game. But at some point I realized like I didn't quite like the weapon I was using, and so I restarted the game. And then I tried a different weapon, and I liked it a little better, and then I came across enemies that it didn't work on as well, and I was like, well, do I not like the weapon, or do I just not understand these enemies?
Yeah.
And it's meant to be a game where you don't even load your previous saves. So switching characters a bunch is very antithetical to the game.
Yeah,
like, it just doesn't line up quite with how it's meant to be played. And so at some point I realized, like, the amount of content in this game is staggering. Like, if you get defeated by an enemy, it takes it realistically. Oh, you got beat by bandits? Well, now you're in their labor camp, or you're in a jail cell, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
Get attacked by monsters. A kindly stranger helped like drag you off the side of the road and leave you with a potion or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is meant to be really, really, really immersive. And it's also meant to be like taxing in the sense that, like, to walk from one town to another is challenging. You'll be walking and it'll get dark and you'll need to set up a little camp and like wait around. Like, you have a backpack and it's so heavy that when you have it, you can't like roll like you do in Souls games. They literally have a button where your character just throws his backpack off of him because like that's how you move around. But what if you throw your backpack off and you start to lose the fight? You're like, I gotta get out of here, and there's your backpack sitting over there, right? So like, it's meant to be like, you're not supposed to use fast travel. You're not supposed to like have infinite carry capacity. You're not supposed to load saves. But I started doing all of those things because I was like, I just can't. I haven't quite wrapped my head around what this game is. And then at some point I realized like it has like 10 60-hour storylines in it that you can do.
Oh, wow.
Because you take your character wherever you want them. Do you want to go join the Holy Guard, or do you want to become a pirate out at sea, or do you want to do this, right? Or do you want to save your hometown? That like, you'll just come back to it at some point. It's just gone. You don't know why. If you've been out traveling, you don't know why it's gone. It's just it all gets destroyed. And I was like, this is so much that I just like
overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. And I was like, I can't invest a bunch to like figure out a new weapon or get to the top tier of a weapon and realize I don't like it. And so I started like to bounce out a little bit. And at some point it just became something that sits in my library and I look at and I'm like, man, it's a great game. Phenomenal music, good gameplay, super cool idea. But it's a game for people who have like, they don't like many other games. That's basically what it is. It's a game for if you have a very small library of games you like, and Outward is one of them.
And you put like 1,000
it's your forever
hours.
game.
Yeah,
it's your forever game. It's World of Warcraft. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we all have that one game that like you wish you could get into.
So,
tell us what yours is.
Yeah,
What's your game
tell us what
that
yours
you
is in
wanna
the
get
comments.
into?
If you made it this far into the video,
You're still here.
you should run a marathon.
Stevie,
You're
we
a
know
trooper.
you're still here.
Oh.
So Stevie,
Clive?
tell us.
Let me just tell you something. Stevie
Clive.
Meeks, every time you comment, it gives me a little bit of hope that one day we'll have Patreon money. Really, I love you. I love you, Stevie Meeks,
Ty,
for real.
What's your subject?
I wanted to talk about something that I feel like conceptually is pretty cool.
Okay.
A cool idea, but is almost always bad to the point that it's like a warning sign if a game is doing this.
Okay.
And that is games as a service. And let me explain what I mean. This is certainly not something I want to see every game turn into. I'm big on like, you buy a game, you own the game, they're designed to be finished. But the idea of a game that's kind of a forever game, and that they're constantly refreshing or updating, constantly receiving like new content, is an interesting one, and one that I kind of like. But I feel like so many games as a service, when you see that that's what the game is, it's just a warning flag that this game is not going to work. It's going to be terrible. And every once in a while, there's a game that comes along that bucks that trend. I feel like No Man's Sky is a great example of a game that it definitely started off really rough, but it has so bucked to the trend that every new update is like better than the last. But so many people, when they hear that something is a game as a service model, they just dip out immediately because it has so often been bad. And so what I wanted to like, my question is kind of like, do you think the idea of a game as a service could be a cool idea? Why or why not? But also, what's gone wrong? if it is a cool idea, why in the world is it so hard for anyone to nail down this concept?
I'm gonna say the games as a service is the greatest affront that man has ever done to me personally.
I'm so surprised that Quentin feels that
Can you
way.
believe this
I mean, I don't
shocking
necessarily
opinion?
disagree. It's
No.
so often been
It is.
bad. But
It
when
is.
I conceptually think about it, I'm like, oh, that
No,
could be cool.
no.
Mm.
And the reason I say is that I think service-based entertainment is itself horrible. It's absolutely terrible. And I have the same opinion about streaming services, where I look at streaming services and they absolutely infuriate me. They're, because they're literally, at this point, they're just worse cable, right? With cable, you
Seemed like a good idea.
they seem like a good idea. They're not. All they have done is just increase the amount of people that are now aware of how to steal TV shows. It's not helping anyone.
Yeah.
It's not helping anyone. And the same goes for this whole video games as a service. Even the game passes, online connectivity services, I don't like. And the problem is that this isn't actually a new thing. This has been around forever. Because if you recall, Nintendo BS. Do you remember Nintendo BS is the broadcast system?
Yeah,
where they
Japan
would
only. Yeah,
in Japan they would they would beam a game into your Nintendo Super Nintendo disc
that one was
system.
more focused around the idea of things happening at scheduled times. There was like radio announcers who
and
would,
they would release
talk over the game
parts
and stuff.
of the game.
Yeah.
And you could only play it while connected. Well, here's the issue that ultimately any gaming or entertainment as a service runs into, which is the fact that it completely destroys longevity for that product.
Sure.
Because the Nintendo BS games, right? Which I know.
I know.
It's a really stupid.
We're just gonna giggle.
I know.
Japanese
but that is
people not
It's like the
knowing-
pisser all over.
But
again.
that is
the pisser again.
pisser all over
again.
again. But that is really what it's called. But the thing is you look at that and it's like, well, if this had just been a game that you released, an alternate version, for example, the Zelda BS games are an alternate version.
It was
of,
a game they released. It was called A Link to the Past.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but it was an alternate version of A Link to the Past, right? And so you look at it and you go like, well, if they just released it as an alternate version of A Link to the Past, it would be so easy to play now.
Yeah.
And it's the same problem with all of these. What happens? So what happens when they cut off the servers for these games that have to be played online because they're a service?
Yeah.
In fairness,
There was
some people when the server shut down, they released the full game as like an offline mode.
And
As like
They do that sometimes.
Mega
few,
Man X Dive offline.
some few are decent that way, but that's not how it works most of the time. And being beholden to a company, if your favorite show is taken off of HBO Max, they say people don't like watching Looney Tunes, right? That doesn't have any staying power. You don't have it.
It's offensive.
It wasn't because it was offensive. They just thought that no one wanted to watch it.
You're right.
Yeah.
So the same thing goes for these games. If you have to rely on the company to do it, remember everyone, the companies hate
Not
you.
your friend.
They're not your friend.
Yeah.
So there's all these games which are great games. There was a Star Wars game that was on only mobile devices. I think it was called Uprising. I could be wrong.
There's been so many.
It was an early release of Star Wars mobile game, and really fun kind of MOBA style top, and loved it. Didn't do very well, and then they cut the servers. They said we're shutting it down after a relatively short period of time, and I played quite a bit of that game.
It's gone.
The game's gone. There's
Can't
no
even turn it on.
There's no way you can't turn it on. You can't get get the APK.
Yeah.
Because there's no way of playing it at all. Well, I look at that and I'm like, a lot of people liked that game.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just release it on a regular console?
Like offline, yeah.
Why did you release it only on a phone as some kind of subscription or loot box based
Clone
game?
Wars on the GameCube was a weird game where you could only play as tanks and sometimes a Wookiee. If that was a live service game, it'd be gone.
It would be gone 20 minutes after it released. But I think all of us still have fond memories of the Attack of the Clones game.
Yeah.
And you still have it.
It was Attack of the Clones.
It was
wasn't
Attack of the
Clone Wars,
Clones. And so, so much is lost by just virtue of pursuing the concept of entertainment as a service.
Yeah.
So I would say my stance is not at all, never acceptable. Get rid of it.
So your reason that it doesn't work is that when they take it offline, it's gone forever.
Yeah, it's
basically.
I mean, it's completely dependent on the company's wills
to
keep it going.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. I mean, you can have games that have online functionality
Sure.
that when it ceases, when they shut down the servers, you
That's
can
just
still
gonna
play
happen.
the game.
Yeah, that's just gonna happen.
You can, if you go offline, you can still play Death Stranding.
Sure.
Right? You can still play MGS5. But if you have a game that you have to subscribe to, that they can shut down at any time,
Mhm.
and that the entire game is completely lost, it's effectively lost from the start.
Yeah.
It's pointless.
The angle that I would come at it from, because for a while I was drawing like an unfair comparison with live service games, where I was thinking of games like, you know, Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, where I was like, we wouldn't get those if Mario 64 was just a live service.
Of course.
But I realized that's not really a fair comparison, because those games have never been iterative in that sense. Like they've always been evolutionary. Like they hold that little core gameplay, but then build something else entirely different around it. So I started to think, well, maybe, you know, it can work. It has merit, you know, trying to be peaceable, you know, not. But then the thought that hit me was when I realized that when I think of iterative games that are not as evolutionary, I'm like, okay, which do I want? Do I want a live service where this thing it's just World of Warcraft and it's a PS2 game forever? Or which one do I want? And the two games that really bumped me out of believing at all in live service games were Animal Crossing and Monster Hunter. Those games are more iterative than anything else.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll add a third, Smash Bros. I'll add a fourth, Mario Kart. No, all of those games are more iterative in the sense that like the next one's going to be pretty similar, but it's just going to have new stuff on it. But the thing is like, I know this isn't popular, but the yearning for it, for a new one, the sense of waiting and wanting, I think that's good for us to experience. I think it's good for us to be like, oh my gosh, it's been, 7 years since they made a new Animal Crossing. Like I yearn for it. I want it, because there's that exciting moment when you see like the little plane was like flying over the island, and you heard the Animalese talking about like how they're, Mr. Nook has prepared this. You get excited because you're like, a new Animal Crossing, and then you've got something to throw 100 hours into. If Animal Crossing was just like they haven't updated it in 7 years, and then 7 years later they provide an update for the Animal Crossing live service game, I don't like it as much. I would rather have just a new game. Monster Hunter Wilds is the same way. I don't want just like an update to Monster Hunter World that comes out 5 years later. I want a new game. At like the other one that Smash Bros fans are winding up for is we all just kind of assume Ultimate is going to get a deluxe treatment like Mario Kart did, and it probably will, but it might not. And we might get another Smash 4 where you have the original Smash Bros. Well, I guess I'll say Brawl. You have the original Smash Bros. Then you have Melee that kept all the characters from the original, and just added more. But then Brawl started to cut some. Like
at this point, I think you have to. The roster's so big.
Roy wasn't in Brawl, Mewtwo wasn't in Brawl, and then Smash 4 cut more. Like Ice Climbers are gone, and like
wasn't Ness gone from one?
No,
Lucas was not in
gone,
4. Yeah, Lucas wasn't in 4. So like that could be coming for Ultimate, where we get a Smash Bros that's just very different.
Yeah,
but I still would prefer it. Like I thought for a little while I was like, maybe I want Smash to go live service, but I don't. I want to experience the next Smash game, and I just think it's one of those things where like innovation's not bad, moving forward's not bad, but the words new and improved are not always synonymous. Like you can like the idea of just like, well, this new concept, live service, it's never been done before, don't fight the future. It's like, okay, there's a lot of cool ideas in video games right now. I don't think that's one of them. I'm not saying it can never work, but the versions we've had thus far,
Just
it
didn't
w-
work.
Well,
Would've
and I
been-
and I
would've been
wouldn't
better.
fight the future if the future was not objectively a
Worse?
a worse
Yeah.
experience than we had years ago.
How does Sea of Thieves fit into that?
It is a live service.
It is a
That's
live
a
Yeah,
live
service game.
service.
Actually, that's another good example in the sense that, like, if I'm being honest, which would I be more like? Sea of Thieves was 2018, so here we are in 2024. I love Sea of Thieves, fun to jump back into. They just announced that they were making a bunch of changes, and it kind of broke the game, and they had to reel it back and stuff. They weren't happy with how it turned out. In 2024, would I prefer Sea of Thieves 2? Yeah, I would. Sea of Thieves 2, and like they built it from the ground up. So now there's like towns with like NPCs and side quests. I mean, imagine a Sea of Thieves that
I
was
would-
designed for modern hardware.
I would also point out though
I
that
would
like
prefer it.
you're right in that like I don't want a game that just it receives like updates forever. But there are a number of live service games like Destiny or Guild Wars
Mhm.
that were live service receiving like weekly updates, and then they just released a full sequel. So they
Sure.
didn't. It wasn't like they didn't just keep the same game going forever. They released new
like with the hit
ones.
game Overwatch?
Yeah, I would
you know,
argue.
I mean,
I would argue that
it's
like
true.
that games like that are the best thing that we've got as far as live service.
Yeah.
But they're not the epitome of live service. They're more of the exception.
And
Because
they-
most live service is like Fortnite
Yeah.
and World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And games that like they will never end.
Right.
And they just will keep going forever.
Yeah.
And they're just going to keep reskinning it for all of time. That's the epitome of games as a service. But you're right. I just still think that like you will always like Splatoon's a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Splatoon 3 was good because like Splatoon 2 had run its course, and like I don't mind when a game has seasons or when a game has updates.
That is actually something I was thinking is like, does Splatoon count as live service? They're releasing new game modes and new content, new
Splatfests,
weapons.
yeah.
They're not. It's not just like Splatfest because it is actual content.
I think
Like,
there's,
yeah.
I think
And I
there's
mean,
like a
new
live
maps.
service element to Splatoon
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah,
It's the
but there is
closest
but there
Nintendo's
is
gotten.
quite a bit of offline
Yeah.
content you can play in Splatoon.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with a live service game, the main problem is that it is entirely dependent on their servers being up.
Yeah.
Right? Because Overwatch, if I could play Overwatch locally, just with my friends
Yeah.
in a lobby,
Yeah.
get 12 people and play at LAN, right? It wouldn't be a problem if they shut it down and they made
Yeah.
everything Overwatch too.
Yeah.
But that's not how that works.
well,
It-
Marvel's Avengers, a famously failed live service game, you can play it all offline.
Yeah.
And access all the content with just your friends without
And that-
accessing the servers.
that's great.
It just doesn't have any matchmaking or anything.
Right.
But that's the
That's what
vast
makes-
minority of
That's
of
what makes
games
this
that
question
do that.
confusing
You're
for me
right.
is because like my opinion on it has always been like when we're talking about games, when we're talking about this, we're talking about tools people have.
Yeah, sure.
And most of the time tools are not inherently good or bad. What are you doing with them?
that was my thought.
Are you using them with a purpose or are you just using them to be trendy? Avengers was trendy. It was just like
Yeah.
live service Avengers. And I was like, why?
Yeah,
Doesn't
it
make
was
any
so
sense.
weird.
Just
like
make
when
a
people said
multiplayer.
that, I was like, "How is that a live service?"
Doesn't make any
It's
sense.
the same thing
No.
Marvel did when they tried to do Marvel Online. And I was like, DC Online is a weird game,
Sorry, Michael
but
B.
it's a weird game.
It's-
But
and it's not a good one.
but you know the thing with DC, and I don't think it's a very good game. But you know the thing with it is, you get to make your superhero. A thing every nerd that reads superhero books does, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like everyone wants to make their own superhero, and 95% of them are just Gambit, right? But
I know mine was.
they so is mine.
That was really.
So
I
is
know
everyone
mine
else's,
was, but
but
not
that
for the
was
same
really
reason as
good.
you guys.
There are many reasons that he made Gambit,
And then there's Michael B with Kid Night Owl 1.
Yes,
Kid Night Owl 1.
Yeah.
just doxed him.
He has a boo-boo, and that's why he's got ow in the name.
Ow.
You're terrible. You're just horrible. No, but they did it because that's the point. Marvel was making Marvel Online where you made variants of Spider-Man,
so
and I'm just
stupid.
like, I never even picked it up. I was like, that's dumb. I'm gonna go make a
Super
character.
stupid.
I'm gonna go make Gambit again in a different game, right?
And there's just
Yeah.
500
Just not called
Spider-Mans
Gambit.
running around.
Yeah.
Just not called Gambit.
He's gonna fly. He's gonna have super speed or telekinesis.
Yeah,
It doesn't
he's-
matter.
yeah.
But anyway, it's what are you doing it for? So Marvel was
Mhm.
doing online to be trendy, and DC, for all of its faults, was doing an online game to have a bunch of weirdo superheroes run around, right?
Had no idea this even
It-
existed.
With like Avengers, with Marvel Avengers, they did the same thing. They did live service because they thought it was a cool way to make money, or
Yeah.
or they thought it would be like
Yeah.
make it popular. And it didn't make any sense. There was no reason. The live service games I've seen where I feel like, oh, there's a reason for them, even if they're not more for me, is the live service part of them is to connect you with other players. And then they update those connections to keep you interested.
Mhm.
You can connect with players in more interesting ways. And if you play it long enough, they'll put out an update and there are now more interesting ways to interact with people. And that's a pretty cool tool.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes that kind of neat about, even though like, you know, eventually they might just even like solidify it into, like you said, like a full release. But even if they don't, it's not really about the game itself. It's about the connections. And once the people
Yeah.
playing it are gone, there's not a reason to play it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a type of experience. It's like it's like a mall, right? Where you put a bunch of like different stores in a mall.
Oh,
it's
that's
to
a good
facilitate
example,
you
yeah.
walking around, but like you can take those stores and move them elsewhere. But
Right.
the mall has a different effect because you're walking around with like a bunch of people,
Right.
and you know you can like meet. You know, you have these interesting interactions with people who have the same interests. Once you don't have those people, it's an empty building. And so once you
Yeah.
don't have, if you have a good idea for a live service, the way I see it as a tool is that thing I was saying about update. The service part of it is an update to how you connect to other players. Once
Yeah.
they're gone, the game's gone.
Yeah.
They are the game. The way it's
Yeah.
a way of playing with other people. Other than that, like, but it becomes hard to judge what counts as a live service when we're
Yeah.
talking. And it's like, does Sea of Thieves counts as a live service? You can't play it without an internet connection, but Avengers you could.
Maybe all of our
And-
arguments boil down to how heavy does it lean on the live service
Sure.
aspect.
And whether when it stops supporting its servers, do they give me an alternative?
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I would
'Cause-
define as ultimately
I-
leaning on
I
it
think-
so much
'cause I
that
think about-
there's nothing
Yeah.
to it.
Because I mean, I
without
think
it.
about how Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, you know,
Oh,
they were
yeah.
like, all right, we're done.
Bye-bye.
But also, you just pay $10. You can
Here's
pay,
the whole thing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can just pay the whole game. We're
Yeah.
not. There's
Yeah.
no other
I
system.
I think you guys all have really good points. For once, no.
Well,
I
good.
think you-
Moving on.
I think you
there.
all have very good points. And I think it's the really tragic thing is that if you look at all of your guys' points, it should be easy to release a live service game that you make a commitment at the outset that one day you are going to release this game fully offline.
Mhm.
You announce that when at the end of life we are going to release this as
Yeah.
everything we've gotten up to this point, and then you let it run its course and don't just keep it on life support forever
Right.
after a couple of years. And then you get the kind of cool things of like every week there's something new in this game to do. Even if it's small, even if it's just like a new raid or something, there's something new to keep you coming back. That's a cool concept.
Yeah.
And so few live service games do that. And I think the reason is that live service games have a kind of corrupt profit motive associated with them that other types of games don't. Because continually providing content does require some money. Certain games that are kind of live service games like No Man's Sky keep that up because the game just keeps selling because they're adding content to it.
Sure.
And that can be a profit motive, but you make way more money if you kind of you make less content and sort of string people along. Why make a Sea of Thieves 2 if people are still playing the first one?
Sure.
You know, obviously,
And buying cosmetics. And,
obviously
yeah.
with Destiny and Guild Wars, people were still playing the first one, and they're like, we're making a second one anyway because it's time, right?
Yeah.
Like when the first one has run its course, and that can happen, but the profit motive is
Kinda
to
starts
just
to-
keep the first one going.
Mhm.
And regular
Mhm.
games don't have that. Nintendo doesn't have a profit motive to not release the next Zelda game because Breath of the Wild was popular, right? That's not how that works. But with a live service game, it kind of is.
Yeah.
You're going to eat into your profits by releasing a new one. And I think that leads to...
too,
I think that leads to lower quality content in a game that the whole thing is about getting content regularly.
Sure.
And so like until companies honestly change how they view games in terms of an investment, until they stop looking at short-term investments and nickel and diming everything and start worrying more about the fate of your overall company and how you're perceived and the revenue you get from having a good reputation. I feel like half the reason people buy and pre-order like Nintendo games is because of its reputation. You know, one of the things you said is they don't often go on sale, and the reason is they don't want to feel like they're punishing early adopters. That is why so many people are early adopters to Nintendo games. And so like I think that like until you start thinking about your reputation as a company, they're just going to keep making bad live service games because they have every reason to.
Games I haven't played, but I have strong opinions about.
Can I start with mine?
Yeah, please.
Mine's Eastwind. It's.
Oh yeah.
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
Tell me the jump button and I'll play it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
great.
My
Yeah.
strong opinion is it looks phenomenal. Don't know why I can't.
Yeah.
Tell me the jump button. Come on.
Yeah.
Help a brother
Mine
out.
is Skylanders, Toys to Life. More like Toys to Death.
God.
We aren't
The
allowed to
death
ask.
of
of
If
If
innovation.
you're unfamiliar with the segment, we can't say any. We can say something.
Yeah.
We can't ask for any questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I can't believe it. I'm shaming him. He's right there watching
my
over me,
God.
and I'm shaming him.
Donkey Kong.
I've never played Donkey Kong King of Swing.
Oh,
And here's my opinion. I think it's got like the best, maybe the best pixel art, and Donkey Kong's got some good pixel art. It might have the best pixel art, and I bet you it's a good game. I'll never know though, because I'm never gonna play it.
Okay.
Quentin, what's yours?
I'm gonna say Grand Theft Auto 5
Okay.
Oh, right.
is actually pretty good. I think they probably did a pretty good
Must
job
be.
with it. I honestly think that the amount of love that it gets is probably pretty well
Sure.
deserved. And I don't have any kind of objections to playing it.
Is that a
like,
strong opinion?
That actually
you know,
is for Grand
that's a
Theft
pretty
Auto 5. That's
a
actually
pretty
a
strong opinion.
Grand Theft, yeah.
You know, I'm not like a certain vice presidential candidate. I don't think that it's too much, but I do prefer, you know, Dreamcast games like Crazy Taxi. But you know,
Who doesn't?
I think that the amount of love that it gets is probably very well deserved, and I'm probably never going to play it. It doesn't really interest me.
How hilarious would it be if it wasn't?
That would be pretty funny.
Yeah, it's true.
All right,
That's
Rachel.
my preferred.
So I'm gonna have to catch you guys next time because I was not prepared for this question.
And therefore
My brain
has
doesn't
no
work like
answer.
that.
Yeah, all right. That was
the
it.
podcast.
If you guys
Thanks
are
for
still
sticking with
here,
us.
how?
Yeah.
If you guys are
I'm
still
barely
here, it's
here.
because I edited it down to 1 hour.
Are you
Yeah,
kidding
right.
me? There's gonna be more viewers on this because Nintendo, who runs the show,
This is our first
on
2-part
YouTube,
podcast.
Quentin
It's
won't remember this podcast recording. He's going to show up at my house tomorrow.
He's gonna
being
wonder
like,
why we
"Let's
cut
go."
all of his segments.
They're gonna say, 2
Guys, if you're
hours,
still
that's
here,
it,
thank
that's
you
good.
guys for watching so much. If you're still here, put a. We're gonna change it up. We're gonna say
Put a pill bottle to represent the narcotics.
No, don't
I'm
do that.
I don't
Put
know how you
a
would do
Star
that.
Wolf emojis down there. I want to see a
a
wolf.
star,
I want to see a lizard.
Want to see a
Yeah.
star?
I want to see a pig.
a
Yeah.
panther,
Oh,
I want to see.
a cat
a panther
on
yeah.
occasion.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
cat.
Well, you mean cat? She
can
wasn't.
join-
She's not.
Yeah,
a Star
we're
Wars.
kind of confusing them.
Crystal
Just-
and Cat joined Star Wolf in one of the
No,
movies.
Crystal and
No.
Cat go off on their own and form
Bye,
their own
everybody.
super group.
Bye,
You know?
guys. Goodbye.
And it has nothing to do with
Goodbye.
Star
No
Wolf,
one's gonna
and
see
you're
this.
completely wrong about
Goodbye.
all of that.